and welcome. We are here at LCK Challenger League. I am Valdez, with me is Wolf, and today is Monday.
Monday!
You know what that means, Wolf.
3 best of 3s, the possible 9-gamer. We haven't had it yet. We missed out last time we were on Monday. We were very close until we weren't. But tonight, anything could happen. I say tonight, we're not in the nighttime yet. It's only 2 p.m.
It is daytime.
We will begin in the daytime and we will end much into the night. But we'll find out what's happening today. It's our first time casting D+ Kia, so very excited for that. We haven't gotten to cast the really insanely powerful team that is the powerhouse that they are. That was really weirdly worded. But yeah, there's some focus on Kana's recent performances just recently in the LCK, yesterday in particular. Thanatos looking pretty good right now. We'll see how he performs today against KT. It's number 1 versus number 2.
Number 1 versus number 2 for our first match, and then we have number 3 versus number 4 for our second match, and then we have number 5 versus number 7 for our third match.
A little bit weird how we skipped 6 there.
Yeah, 6, not a number here. Well, they're just not playing. That is, of course, DRX. So, yeah, should be fun. Should be close matches today. Definitely, you know, a recipe for 9 games potentially. So if you are a fan of 9 games, you have come to the right place. And I hope Atlas and Chronicler are taking a nice, well-deserved rest at home and just hanging out, maybe not watching League of Legends, maybe just playing some games, maybe going outside and seeing the sun. Haven't done that in a while, Wolf.
Yeah, the weather's not great for that today. It's a little bit hazy today, but I mean, it's better than staying in your house all day. Here are the results, by the way, from the matches we did not broadcast here on this stream on days 3 and 4. We did have quite a few 2-0s here. You could see on day 3, DRX getting knocked down 2-0, KTT1 going to KT's favor, which is how they got into second place. That was a pretty hype matchup. And then HLE defeating Kwangdong Freaks in the last match. Of course, on the 3rd, you saw those results there. Big news, though, for Giga Chads everywhere. Breon took their first game win of the season. Just got one, but it's a start here.
Still counts.
No longer winless. Now at -11.
Yes, they took the 1 game. They made it a 3-game series, and then they still lost it. Giga Chad. They kept it close, though. That's important. Today, I mean, this first match is going to be pretty interesting. You know, DK versus KT on paper, it is... I'm saying that a lot nowadays, by the way, on paper. We actually don't even use paper, really. I mean, we do have the standings here on some nice papers that they print out for us.
I forgot my papers. They're in
generally, it's on the screen or, like, you know, we see that kind of thing. But, yeah, DK should be much better than this team, though.
In theory.
So it could still maybe be a 2-0, so we'll have to see. What do you think about the Gnar versus K'Sante?
Yeah, this is the top rival, they're calling it here, the Gnar and K'Sante. We saw yesterday, don't take Ghost on Gnar by accident, as Kana did, because you will not have a fun time. I think it's a matchup that Gnar should feel very comfortable in, but it's much easier to play K'Sante in terms of what you can offer in a team fight, Gnar having to rely on his bar. I'm not surprised that this matchup is so close at 10-7. But I think the bigger story here is that it's been played 17 times in 3 weeks.
Yeah. It's a lot of times, as Arkzima asks, who is cracked in LCK Challenger League? Well, you've come to this stream at the exact time.
right here,
time,
there they are. Look at that.
And the right place. Those are the POGs from the last 3 weeks. But also, it's D+ Kia. They're the ones that are cracked. And
KT Rolster is pretty good too, though.
KT Rolster pretty good. They're in second place. So we have the big matchup. Watch out for Nightbot as well. He gets very sensitive. Yeah,
Nightbot is cracked. He does not.
He
crack
is broken.
Up. He does not crack up at your all caps posts. So be very careful about how you use it. I thought that Lure. Like, he's such a standout player for Hanwha Life Esports that he actually ends up tying here with Lucid and Feisty just because he's been so important, even though Hanwha Life isn't really on the same tier as those 2 teams. Let's talk about some of the changes here on 13.1b. You're going to see some nerfs on some of the champions that you've been watching a lot. It's Q damage, turret health here on the Q4. Heimerdinger, unsurprising, and the damage of the W. You guys probably familiar with 13.1 B patch, but we're going to hit some of the highlights here.
Yeah, just some of the big champions that you see a lot in LCK and LCK Challengers. Nami, another one of these. Does look like a small nerf, and I think maybe they just don't want to nerf her too much because at the moment she is only being played with Lucian, pretty much.
And Draven,
yeah,
rarely, but you can see this is the nerf to the W damage and the E extra additional damage there. And then some of Ryze's magic growths, 36 to 32 here on base damage. Or base AP, rather. And
that is magic resist,
magic
actually.
resistance, actually.
We're translating this live.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, yeah, sorry,
And
that is,
also,
yes, that is magic resistance.
Yeah.
On the bottom, 10% to 6% of... this is actually AP, right? AP ratio.
I think this is the amount of mana you get from AP.
Yes.
The percentage.
Yes, it's just passive. All right. This is...
All right,
okay,
next.
Lucian's base mana is mana growth, his normal mana regen,
Yeah.
and his growth of his mana regen.
Yes. There you go. We're having like a little Korean lesson as we go. Very good job.
This one is a little bit more complex to
This
talk
champ
about.
doesn't
But
exist anymore. That's all you need to know.
basically, her auto range is nerfed significantly, so her passive gives her temporary increased range, but it's very difficult for her to trade in lane. And you can see some of the other additional nerfs across the board here, but you guys know about it.
Yeah. The casters for today, Remy Martin's asking, they are the casters minions, Steven and Colin. They will be joining us today. So that's all you need to know about the caster minions. I know there's not too many of them, but I just figured I'd shout them out because they are kind of like the main caster minions for today. Yeah, Yuumi, a lot of nerfs. And I feel like, we were discussing this on the way over. There is a small chance that we still see Yuumi.
Yeah, I think there's a possibility for sure.
Just because her kit is still Yumi's kit. It just got nerfed heavily.
I can't believe they didn't address... one of the biggest patch notes that wasn't mentioned was, of course, the change to Infinity Edge and Quick Blades, which you don't need as much crit percentage to get that activatable. It's decreased by 20. I'm calling it the... Freak Edge. No, nobody's calling it that. I'm just trying to make that a term, but...
The Infinity Freak.
Yeah.
In
Freakity Edge.
In Freakity Edge.
But yeah, he's changed it, and so we were going to have some potentially different 80 carries played today. We'll talk about that as we get into the matches. Number 1 versus number 2 is our first one, as we've already discussed quite a bit. If you're tuning in late, D+ Kia, first place in the standings. KT Rolster, second place. And it should be a matchup that D+ Kia feel very comfortable that they're going to take 2-0 here. That's how big the gap is between them and everybody else in Challengers right now.
Yeah, I mean, even from week 1, you could kind of tell that D+ Kia are the big favorites to win Challengers for spring. And that's pretty early on, right? The LCK is very different. We thought we had a good idea of who the top 2 were, and then they started losing. So... not the case here in Challengers, where D+ are still undefeated. Now, they have dropped 3 games alongside of their 6 series wins. But even when they do drop a game, they still win 2-1. And, yeah, they're just pretty insane. You were asking, who's cracked. Well, this entire team, pretty much.
Lucid is, for me, the biggest standout player, but Pulbe is a pretty close second, and he's been very good for a long time. Kronko's been talking about him for forever. We'll see how he performs today against the mid laner of KT Rolster. Feisty, who's up on the top of the POG standings as well. Hype had a really good performance last week on the Jin, and it was really fun to watch him. Castle, again, pretty, I'd say pretty standard top lane, champion pool, but overall his playstyle is pretty aggressive. I like him. And Hambach's Elise was crazy. He got robbed of some POGs.
Couple times.
I think that Elise definitely sees some play here in this best of 3. Between Lucid and Hambach, one of these guys is either getting it or it's going to have to be banned.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see it banned. But again, new patch, new fun, new picks, and new priorities in the draft. As here is the matchup in the 80 carry role.
Yeah.
We were talking about hype. Rahel also quite strong.
Rahel's been very good for a long time. He was a substitute for Damwon for a really long time, and then he's been kind of as a substitute and bounced back and forth between the roster, the LCK roster and the Challengers roster. Now there's no real distinction there. I believe he only played one time in the LCK and has otherwise just kind of been part of the roster, was part of the roster, and now he's just Challengers mainstay here. But you can see the champion pool is pretty similar here. Varus for Hype, definitely a standout though, and damage percentage a little bit higher for Hype. I think the damage spread a little bit more even across the side of D+ Kia. And both these players, in this meta, at least until 13.1b, we'll see how it shapes up. Definitely going to end up being really important because the bottom 2v2/3v3 is how the last 3 weeks of professional play have been defined as we move into week 4.
Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at what these two best teams in Challenger think about the new patch.
Hey, look at that. Lucian already banned.
Yeah.
Some things changed, but mostly we stay the same here at the LCK Challengers League.
Kassadin first ban. Yeah, pretty interesting, especially because we have seen Kassadin get countered a bunch in recent times by multiple different picks. Ashe, still strong.
All right, now if we see a Yuumi ban, I want to lose it. Valdez, I'm going to be like, all right, they know we're on 13.1. B.
Maybe
we're still on 13.1, but it's B.
Maokai.
Okay, all right. Still looking very similar, Valdez. Some people looking forward to a new meta, getting a little bit stressed out right now, getting a little bit, maybe a Monkass or so in the chat, getting a little bit nervous. Okay, let's see, because I don't want to predict this. I want to see what these teams' reads are, and then as we start to get a little bit into the draft, we can give some of our predictions of what's going to happen. But the first bans are going to be pretty telling.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, this first day of Challengers, especially with these great teams, like, we're learning a lot alongside of this, You can only learn so much from reading patch notes, from seeing solo queue, but to watch some professionals play out the patches and kind of see what's strong and what's not and what has changed is going to be the best way. It's going to be the best lesson for everybody who is a fan of League of Legends.
I'm really going down to the last second on this one. Okay, there's the Elise. I was expecting that Elise could be first pick here, especially with Maokai banned. But we'll probably see something that's really flexible like Wukong. Unsurprisingly here for Lucid. Strong into the Sejuani, especially if you get a winning bottom side. Varus still up. So that would have been one of the other trade-offs if we're talking about what was meta before. But I don't know if Varus still lands in the same place. I guess he does.
He landed right on his feet. Oh, there's Heimerdinger.
There's a nerfed Heimerdinger still in the, my League of Legends drafted first rotation. I'm right at home, Valentino. I was wondering, like, is it going to be a little bit weird today because we're trying to figure out this new patch?
Nope.
Nope.
No.
Still no Yuumi either, though. So, like, we're happy
Hey,
about
there's
that.
still time. Rise.
Okay. And Jace. All right. Soul Laner's locked down early here, so a lot of power in the draft for KT to lock away Rahel's champion pool. As Syndra picked here into the Rise very early. A little bit surprised by that, although it has been one of Feisty's favorites. Interesting choice. Not sure how I like it just yet, but we'll have to wait and see what the rest of this draft looks like.
These kids don't know about Han. I know about Heroes of New Earth. I played that before League of Legends. It was my first foray into MOBAs, actually, before they were even called MOBAs.
I played
League of Legends
Eon
was
of
better,
Strife in StarCraft 1. No, I didn't.
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
League of Legends was better, and that's why we're here. Some bans, no bottom lane for the side of DK.
Yeah,
just
Caitlyn
yet.
is gone. I wonder if we'll see a Xayah or Samira. Nope. Just going to be 13.1, just 13.1 bans. Now, we might see those picks here for D+ Kia, one of them, in this next phase, but Lee Sin also very strong with the Syndra. Do like that ban here. Taken away from Hambach, thinning that pool out because they did go for bottom and mid here, so the jungle still being the easily targetable position right now.
Is this a rebroadcast from last week? The picks are exactly the same. Yes, in fact, we are actually AI's programmed to read the chat and respond, even if it is a rebroadcast. So we're pretty good at that.
Yeah, we just changed the audio.
Yeah.
It's interesting that we see the Lee Sin and the Viego bans here, but not the Sejuani. The thing about Sejuani here is it's blind, and you don't know what you're trying to pick outside of the Ryze and the Jace, potentially, and this comp doesn't have an amazing front line yet for D+ Kia. But now you can offer yourself a mobile AD carry that can avoid. Dude, is it Zarayumi? Oh my god. Valdez.
Hey, Lulu's available.
Okay, look,
So
hold
is
on.
Karma.
Ezreal Karma would be the same as before, but better than the alternative, and we will take it. We will accept it. We accept it, D+ Kia. We accept this draft.
What is it going to be? Oh, wow. He already locks in the Aurelia for the top lane against the Jace.
I actually like this Aurelia because there's kill pressure on Jace on the top side with Sejuani. It works extremely well with Sejuani's passive. You can catch a Ryze in the side lane very easily. You can flank, and there's a lot of great targets here. Karma's shielding isn't going to offer too much survivability for these... Yeah, survivability.
Survivability?
Survivability.
Survivor ability? Surviving ability.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, like, Atlas has been getting on me about saying survivable. He doesn't like it when I say that, so I'm just trying to make sure I say survivability. Karma's shielding won't offer too much in that for this comp. And yeah, Wukong's pretty good in Sejuani. Wukong's pretty good into Aurelia. But I do feel like KT has a draft that can punish this in the mid game really well. Now, late game, Ryze going to be doing a ton of damage. Jace could be doing a ton of damage. We're setting up for objectives. There's so much more poke on the side of D+ Kia. Even the Karma poke will actually add up. So KT need to get a lead in the mid game with this comp, especially the Varus Heimerdinger. If you lose out there against the Karma just sitting down there with Relic Shield and you can't make anything happen, I think you're going to have a bad time against D+ Kia's comp in the later parts.
Yep. Papa Smithy came here to search for some new drafts, and he found himself looking at the exact same thing.
Unlucky.
Well, we'll see. Maybe as the day comes along, maybe as the series comes along, these guys will pull out some new stuff, but not for game number 1. We are pretty much the same here, and we'll see if DK, they bring that same solid League of Legends and they don't have to mix anything up, or will KT actually challenge them with some of these picks and try to burst through the early game into the mid game, where, as you mentioned, they will have a lot of power with their draft. As the players look ready, looks like we're just about ready to jump onto the Rift for game number 1.
협곡에 오신 것을 환영합니다.
Rebel gets kills, yeah, he does. Good shit. Don't worry.
Yeah,
He gets kills. He certainly does.
He is a person that gets kills. I know you're extremely intense and wondering. Well, we're gonna have to hold that thought. Castle is gonna have to flash here, as he takes the stun first, which is not too abnormal. But as you will see, the ignite comes out, and he will still have to flash. That is just going to look to stop his back
With a Q, and he's successful. A little bit annoying that he takes a turret shot there, but still happy to delay this back. Can you do it again?
Oh! Oh boy.
If he hits that,
Is he back?
this lane is a disaster.
No, he's not actually back.
I don't think he should. He's got the range advantage early. So it'll be Castle's first game of Aurelia. Notice Feisty 4-0 on the Syndra. You talked about how he has really prioritized this one quite a bit. The same is, of course, true of Hype's Varus we talked about.
And Rebels Heimer.
Yeah. I mean, KT are 5-1, so these stats are going to look good, but they've played these champions specifically a lot. So it's a lot of comfort here for KT Rolster. So it should be kind of unsurprising that they pick these up. Even though it is a new patch, still going to take some time, and champions like Syndra really kind of untouched on this one. We'll see what Ezreal builds on this patch, because I don't think the changes to IE really going to affect his build path too much. And Varus, obviously, not interested in building that one. Did go for Comet. It's the double Comet Prio build here, bottom side. Karma actually going Spell Thief's Edge, though, instead of Relic Shield. A little bit unusual in a lane like this.
Yeah, trying to build it up a little bit faster and just get that support item online. And yeah, going to be looking to poke here against this bottom lane as well, as already the level 2 priority to the side of Varus and Heimer. Not a big surprise. We have seen, actually, it's funny, KT from LCK run this duo a lot of times in the bottom side, the Ezreal Karma, I should say. Whereas it's DK pulling it out here against KT. As here comes Lucid, but we do have a counter gank, and seems like they know something's up.
Lucid reading this well.
Yeah, he's like, you looked a little bit too confident the way you backed away there. I'm not going to attack you.
Yeah, it would be odd. It's odd to back towards brush instead of towards turret, unless you've got something hiding in the brushes. Wukong into Sejuani, we talked about it, especially with some early prio here. You can be very annoying to the Sejuani with those extra resistances. And Lucid's going to be trying to do that with this Ryze pushing through. Meanwhile, Rebel, ouch.
He's going to get rooted here, and there was a turret kind of in front of the Ezreal. And yeah, the heal will come out here from Hype. So already pretty nice lead in the bottom side for DK's bot lane, even though the level 2 was not theirs.
He didn't have, he already used his pot, so I guess the heal here, even though it looks silly because usually you only use it to survive, just trying to give him some extra health, I suppose, to stay in lane, but they won't. And Thanatos...
Uh-oh, Castle taking some damage here, and we do have Wukong up on the top side, so Thanatos potentially with a bait, whether intentional or not. Castle and Hambach will back away. Castle did save his teleport from earlier.
It's pretty bizarre.
Like he was able to get to lane on time.
Yeah, it's pretty bizarre that that heal is used so late for Hype and the Rebel still doesn't stay. I mean, I think it's the right call, but strange that they commit the heal and then he doesn't stay, because I was trying to suss it out of my brain, like maybe he just wants to have a little bit of health and they want to stay under turret here and he doesn't have to back, but now they have this awkward back timing because Hype has no mana. And Heimerdinger's like, walk back to lane. He's like, I can't be there, so I need to go find something mid, but I'm trying to help out the Syndra into the Ryze. And I mean, you see where the Heimerdinger is in the minimap right now. You're not feeling too good about your chances of making an impact on this map. Can get a deep ward down, potentially here on this red buff.
Oh!
Ouch.
Get wrecked. Hambach is such an aggressive jungler. And, you know, we had our, the matchup between the 80 carry role. For some reason, the name of that is not in my brain right now. No, like the player of the matchup or whatever.
Oh, key player, yeah.
Yeah, the key player matchup. There you go. It was for the bot lane, but this jungle is going to be insane as well, especially because Hambach has really turned it up in recent games.
Yeah, agreed. Doesn't feel great in this matchup to try to put the aggression on, but he has actually done it pretty successfully here, and they've made it all about topside because this is a Jace Aurelia matchup where the Aurelia wants to get ahead, and will she?
Not gonna land the stun, but it was one auto away from getting the Sejuani passive in, so very close actually, as the power does come out from Feisty, but Pulbe trying to read it, but he sticks in range for a Q, and Feisty's just gonna pick up a solo kill for first blood.
Yeah, I thought Feisty was actually gonna flash for looking for the Q, but then he just walked back towards it for some reason because his jungler was coming up. And let's see if the permafrost sticks this time.
It should. Hambach only level 4, but he is doing a nice job of tanking it up. Lands in the stun, but Hambach will go down, and no kill comes through. Thanatos 1v2 under the turret.
Kana is shaking right now. Oh no! Oh no! Valdez. Oh, and D+ gonna get a Drake as Lucid is not there to defend. He still gets the 1v2. That was really forced. That was really forced, but
it looked good though.
It looked like it was gonna work, but he just takes one too many turret shots here, and then Castle can't quite get the damage. Thanatos played it so well.
Castle hit the turret one time.
That was a misclick, I think.
And DK got the dragon. So we missed that as we were in a replay.
Yeah, well, I mean, it looked like they were getting it for sure, and then it was a last-minute contest, but it didn't end up being too impactful. Lucid is Wukong, so he's like, peace, I'm out. Hambach still wants to push the issue here on this red buff now, and does have a Heimerdinger rotating over, so with Lucid's low health bar, I think he should be able to deny this. So that red buff is like, okay, well, I'm going home.
Okay, sorry, Mom, I'm coming back home.
A little bit outside of my comfort zone. I don't like the Krugs. They're historically not been very nice to me.
True.
So, small win, small victories, you know? That's what we're always looking for in the in the rough ones. And this game looked like it was going to be pretty close and pretty interesting until it wasn't, you know? And I'm not saying it's over, but I am saying this Jace has 2 kills.
Remember like a minute ago when Hambach invaded the jungle and stole away the ground? Man, good times. Like, we thought we were going to have a close game here, Wolf, and yet DK let us down again. Just too dominant. And yes, I mean, it was a failed dive from the side of KT, but I still think it was, you know, a good setup. Like, that's a place where I think an LCK duel will probably get the kill, and maybe they lose their jungler or something, but it's still a win because
the Sejuani gets, or sorry, the Aurelia gets ahead, yeah, and then you're like, you do it again, and you get more of an advantage, and you snowball your win condition.
You're denying minions and stuff like that. You know, it's generally a great idea, and it was a good read, but it was just not executed properly.
The problem is, not only is this Aurelia supposed to get ahead in order to make this pick worth it, but now the Jace, it's not like the Jace lived and you're like, oh, unlucky. It's like the Jace gets 2 kills, and now the Aurelia can't play the game because it's a ranged matchup that she's not going to be able to threaten anymore without help. Lucid can just hover topside here and, as what I like to call, shadow the top lane, so that if a gank does come, it's not playable, and he has his ultimate because he's level 6 now. So bottom side being pretty self-sufficient here too. Only a few CS down with this Karma. Hambach has 6, but they're respecting it as Lucid comes down. This could be a disaster for KT if they commit hard.
Yeah, they're gonna try. I mean, DK saw this coming a mile away. The question is, can they survive? The Karma looks pretty doomed as down he will go, but Hype is so far underneath the turret right now as Pulbe just flashing on in, and the chase is going to be huge from the Ezreal especially. He takes a lot of damage, but here comes Wukong as well, as just out of range as Rebel doesn't matter, extends it with a simple Q, and now we've got Feisty in a bit of trouble. He's going to have to flash away as well. And as you mentioned, Wolf, looked a little bit telegraphed, and DK were able to punish them in the end.
I feel like it could have been even worse, too. I thought the way that it was played, actually, by KT was nice, all things considered. But, yeah, it was telegraphed. They were ready for the punish play there. Wukong, second part of the ultimate, nice.
Okay, Thanatos may have gotten himself in a little bit of trouble. He does a lot of damage, but missing a couple of autos as well. Now trying to flash away from an Aurelia. That's not a recipe for success. And Thanatos says, here, I have a lead. You can take it.
You can have it.
Yeah, exactly.
This route here onto Hambach is actually outside of turret range. Hype goes way far forward here to try to avoid the Ezreal ult. And I think that's really the big reason why he faces his demise here. Probably would have gotten out. And then Rebel also turning to try to help him out actually puts him into flash range here of the Wukong. Doesn't get hit by the ultimate, but still gets hit by the extended Q. A little bit messy on the execution there. Just a little bit. Hype, I think, kind of dropping the ball, trying to dodge that Ezreal Q. I think if he, or ult, excuse me, if he dodged it better, just went to the right side there, maybe he lives. Still, the biggest problem was that it was pretty obvious what they were going to try to do, and Lucid is just such a good jungle player.
Yeah, I mean, they saw it coming a mile away, and everybody was already rotating down to the bottom side. Now, the top lane, kind of giving away the kill, was Thanatos, and now it looks like KT will be able to pick up this very early Rift Herald.
Thanatos, you are alone. That is a Sejuani with ult and a lot of CC versus with an Aurelia. You should probably not try to go for an aggressive Q there. He is sticking around, and we do see Lucid is coming up. Doesn't have flash, but does have ult. I still don't think this goes the way he thinks it's going to go, depending on how quickly this Wukong gets here.
Uh-oh. Okay, well, he's very fast, so he'll just run away from that one. And Lucid was nearby. These two are standing on a ward. And they might know that now just because of how fast he moved. Not 100% sure, but either way, that's going to expire soon, as it looks like the DK bottom lane is trying to put on some pressure here.
Yeah. Just going to try to crash these minions in. Hype handles this pretty well, though. Not going to lose anything. Going to be a little bit disconnected, Hype and Rebel, but that's okay. Rebel can set up some turrets here on this next Drake, which has spawned. We don't have any group up, but Hype's going to get a free back here, and they're going to grab that turret setup with the Sejuani in position, clear some vision. This is actually kind of a tricky fight for D+Gia to take. Castle does not have teleport, so I think this is going to be just a top island. Tries to force Thanatos back. Don't think Thanatos wants to go mid and try to rotate in either, because they don't have enough prio. And KT without hype here actually don't hold on to the Drake. They go bottom side, you know, try to make sure that wave's not in a terrible spot. And
Yeah, Feisty as well. He's still running back to lane. He doesn't have TP, so just gotta give this Drake up, I guess. I mean,
I feel like KT could have just conceded some of those health bars. I mean, like, all right, we're gonna force this. We're gonna look for this fight, and they still can. It's just gonna be a little bit awkward here because Lucid still has ult.
yeah, Lucid taking a while to kill this by himself, alongside Loopy, I guess. As Feisty spotted on the top side, they're going to try to land that root as a very nice scout of the week, but the tether is going on to Feisty here. That would be a kill handed over to the Ezreal in trade for the Dragon, which DK did drop in order to try to get that kill.
Thanatos did teleport mid. Like, he's like, I am going to push for this. We are going to fight this. And they just completely zoned out the Syndra. Grab a kill here. And this is going to be a lot of turret plates going over. Castle's going to trade this a little bit on the top side, and this is what you do lose as Thanatos by going mid in this situation. But they bring us to a 1-1 Drake scoreline. It is the Lake Drake here. So not the most impactful, but still pretty significant that D+ can stop that snowball here. And one of the winning conditions for them is just to survive to the late game, but they've already gotten 2 kills on a Jace, 2 kills on an Ezreal now. They're feeling very good about things, even with plates going over to the Aurelia top side solo, and now trying to take down the whole turret with this Herald.
Well, it's definitely going to get a charge.
No wave here, so they can't actually get the whole thing.
Yeah. Looks like maybe it was timing out just a bit, so they're able to get the plate. Most importantly, that was at like 13:59. So, able to come in at a very nice timing.
Someone in YouTube chat just asking about clarification on the Lake Drake. You can call it a pond Drake, but we usually don't hear.
I sometimes call it River Drake, but I know a lot of people aren't fans of that, so we have settled on Lake Drake instead.
Yeah, I have seen some parts of the world like to call it Creek Drake. It's kind of weird, but
yeah, that's pretty strange. I wouldn't condone that.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're a Creek Draker, get help.
Yeah. Don't get me started on the tributary Drakers.
Yeah. LCKS says Ocean Drake. I've never heard of anything like that before. That's not the real name.
No,
Absolutely not.
certainly not. Puddle Drake, also a bit of a no-go.
Lagoon Drake.
Lagoon Drake.
I kind of like that one.
Yeah, that's actually pretty sweet. It's actually kind of clever. I like it. Toilet Bowl Drake, that's not very nice, but that's also about the impact that you're going to get with a lot of compositions. Pretty good into both of these teams, though, with the poke that they provide with the lethality Varus, the Ezreal, the Jace. You know, you'll get something out of it if you can get that soul. Especially KT here.
Absolutely. As yes, we do read the chat, guys. This is challengers for the LCK, so we like to keep it more community focused and interact with you guys from time to time, especially if the games are kind of slow, which as of right now, the Rift Herald went down, the Drake went down, people are just kind of pushing waves into each other, so that's the way it goes. We like to talk with chat.
Yeah.
Who is winning right now, chat? The fans. The fans are winning.
Always. Well, mostly.
Most
Sometimes it's like, oh, I don't know. But yeah, in this case, the fans are winning for sure. As taking a look at some of the builds, they're all the same. Although Syndra built Ludens, which you and I have seen our fair share of Rod of Ages Syndra not really finding value, not really finding the extra tankiness, not working out, movement speed not too helpful. So I'm happy to see just some extra burst here with this comp where you're trying to use your lethality bars to get ahead. Syndra trying to blow somebody up, then Aurelia comes in and cleans up the kills. That's the hope, that's the dream. It's becoming more dreamlike. In each passing moment, each passing D+ Kia kill. Ulting Pull Bay here is it a dream? No, it's real, Valdez.
Is it just fantasy? I don't know.
He's like, one ultimate? Who would win one Aurelia ultimate with 4 core, 1 phase rush?
Oh boy, he gets mega rooted as well and then double knocked up. He still nearly trades it onto Pull Bay, but Not the best position for our top laner of KT. I don't know why I went into this higher register randomly.
However, Valdez, they did secure the Rift Herald. They got the Rift Herald on the top side of the map, but lots of damage done to this mid turret. Bottom turret surely going to go down here. And I guess the idea for Castle here is Feisty's also going to grab top. I guess the idea for Castle there is if I don't win this all-in onto the Rise, we're going to lose this turret, while we're also losing control of mid, so I really want to hold, and I think I can win this fight, but Phase Rush, pretty good. Just press some buttons and get out of dodge. Didn't get a follow-up stun or anything like that, so really easy for Pull Bay to just pull back, so to speak.
Whoa, maybe that's what it means. Maybe we finally figured it out.
Yeah, we're still not sure what his name comes from. If anyone knows, if Kevin Kim is in the chat, please speak up. Can the real Kevin Kim please stand up?
Now the whole chat is gonna act like they're Kevin Kim, as we're all Slim Shady at heart. This is pre-recorded, by the way. Caster's pretending it's live. Yes, that is true. We are AI.
Pretty good at acting, aren't we?
We're pretty good. Yes, very true.
One day, there's going to be a Twitch channel that just pretends to be casters, like that Twitch channel that exists now that pretends to be Seinfeld. That's what chat thinks that we are. Maybe that's what chat's insinuating, is that we're just like an AI created to commentate forever. Because who would cast 5 days of LCK and then do 3 best of 3s the next day?
Wouldn't be us.
Only the most passionate League of Legends casters. Feisty.
Yeah, he thought he was fine, but there was a rise in the bush, and that was very scary. Oh, that's not gonna see it. We might have a very sad Varus here in just a moment.
Emphasis on might. He's not that sad. It's okay.
Yeah, he's pretty happy. You know, he's playing League of Legends. He's very good at it.
Procking a comment on Rahel.
He got a kill. That's good. That's happy. Casters are robot slaves for our listening pleasure.
Pretty much. That's why we have a lot of repeated phrases. We say the same thing a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes I wonder, have I made this joke before?
On paper, I would say yes.
On paper, you'd say there's a high chance that we're between a rock and a hard place right now, Valdez. I think KT are between a rock and a hard place. Now, gold-wise...
Yeah, Valdez smells weird, says Achilleos. That's because he doesn't know what the smell of success is like. He's never smelt it in his life. But yeah, we're kind of in a lull state here. The gold is exactly right.
Achilleos, did you write Brendan sucks on the desk? We need to know the answer because somebody wrote that.
It's definitely him.
And this is where you were sitting when we cast Overwatch here. And all right, case closed. It's solved. It's solved. He admitted to it. He admitted to it.
We also got banned by Nightbot. or not banned, but he got timed out by Nightbot. He's new to the Challenger stream.
Castle.
Yeah. Pullbay is really using the Rise the way it should be used, I think, you know? It's like, I can be bot because I'll just realm warp to the fight. If they take Baron, I can rotate on time.
Plus, the Aurelia is not a threat in this game. Bork and an Aegis. It's going to be a Jack Show's game, isn't it? It's going to be a very much trying to stay in a team fight for a long time, even though it's a Syndra comp with Lethality Varus type of game for the Aurelia.
Oh man, Lucid. He's feeling pretty good against most people, except Feisty, who has an insane amount of damage. I mean, look at the build from Feisty. It's no Roa, it's no like Merc Treads, randomness. We're not just like sitting back and only building survivability. He is only building damage. It is straight Ludens into Shadowflame, and there it is, it's complete.
Yep, Varus also going for Duskblade. Jack Shows is done for Castle. I hope that he can live long enough to get a lot of value out of it in these fights because he's going to be putting himself in harm's way. Quick Blade second here for Ezreal, so our first Quick Blades of 13.1B. Wasn't sure if Ezreal will build it every game, but in this case decides to do it after the Essence Reaver. So we're already seeing a little bit of a change, little small changes.
Everybody was getting really confused about the Vamp Scepter. yeah, maybe just trying to survive against lethality Varus. I mean, it is Ezreal after all. If you get hit by one arrow, it's like, well, okay, you need to leave the lane. But if you have just a little bit of sustain, then you're going to have a much better time.
Yeah, he arguably could have gone, you know, Doran's Blade, but don't want to waste the money on that. It's not going to give you the same sort of value.
YouTube chat says Showmaker is smurfing. I don't even know what to say.
Just make the same noise that Hype made on this Varus skin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Varus is a little bit of a groaner, you know?
He's in deep thought, Valdez. Okay, Thanatos, you're up there.
He's like, man, I'm so good, I dodged. I
Doesn't
dodged
even-
that blind.
Oh, he did flash in
Oh,
the end.
nice flash here from Kambach. Very aggressive jungler. KT is going to get the kill. But
There-
guess what, guys? I mean, there's 3 people bot.
Yeah, they're just
can't
going to
do
say, if you go all in
Guys, they're
on
doing
killing the
Baron.
Jace, they're doing the Baron. KT a little bit slow to realize this.
And the teleport is late. This is just a free Baron. So DK are just going to, I mean, the macro here in Challengers, we're still working on it, guys. The AI is hard at work. But yeah, that was, KT should definitely have known that was a possibility. I mean, that is the, even in solo queue, teams will be like, oh, they're all bot, let's do Baron.
Someone asked, Adanian, it was actually Adanian, asked which LoL champs have the worst tennis grunt. Definitely Korean Lissandra #1. Probably Karma #2. She would just like grunt in a made-up language.
Nar's got one.
Oh god, baby Nar, mini Nar. Ooh, that actually might be #2. Like, I think Karma moves down one.
Kind of reminds me of Wario a little bit.
Yeah, if there was a baby Wario,
Yeah.
I could see it.
Look, here's Pulve again. He's
just
in the
always
side lane.
there.
It's not fair, 2v1. The knockback nearly knocks Castle out of his seat as he is just dead again. Really trying to press the advantage with the side laning of the Aurelia, which is where you should have your power, but it's always 1v2. That's not fair, Wolf.
It's not fair. And also, D+ can just ignore these Drakes because it's Ocean Soul, so who cares?
It's Lake Soul.
I mean,
Actually.
just for the people who don't get the meme. Yeah, it's Lake Soul, though.
Be careful.
Thanatos is like-
YouTube is going to ask where Faker is again.
He just doesn't care. So it's a good try, but they just can't hit this Jace with Sejuani ults.
Flash in from Pulve. That's a ton of damage on the Feisty as he just presses R. Very unfortunate for Thanatos.
Can't dodge that one.
Yeah. Oh, that's not a good flash. Anyway, nice setup here from the side of DK. I think that Rebel was really trying to look for the extreme angle of greed, as Wolf would call it, but it was a risk.
It's wild how this game is like, feels like D+ Kia, even though it's #1 versus #2 are just not even respecting KT. It's like a walk into like, okay, like just get out of the game. I'm ready for game 2. Because they had a draft that had some holes in it, right? There were some weak points, like the Jace could have fallen behind. We could have seen the Aurelia get ahead and then, you know, obviously push sides extremely aggressively, win those fights in the sides. We have seen Castle fail to win. If he's ahead, this looks very different. You know, some of these trades end up being good for KT in the later parts of the game. Because, yeah, flashing in for this one, and Thanatos, I don't know why I keep calling him Thanatos to Thanatos. He doesn't have a lot of...
Thanatos.
Yeah, Thanatos, there we go. Is this flash...
Different from Thana Fingers.
Yeah.
Wolf's just trying to analyze and like...
No, I mean, kind of am, but like, I'm also kind of not. I'm kind of just bewildered. I'm kind of just watching this going like, wow, like, once Thanatos got those two kills on the top side of the map, D+ Kia was just like, man, I'm bored of this game
doing
already.
the Varus noise.
Well, you know, it's Rod of Ages complete. Maul Mount Morty is complete.
Thanatos, the Greek god of death. No, it's actually the boss from Lost Ark. Sorry.
Huh.
Yeah.
I feel like now that Lucid has both his mom, Almortius, and a stopwatch, he is truly awake. Okay, he is really lucid. Like
Do you feel like he is aware?
he is very aware.
Whoa.
Okay, this next fight
pretty
on
scary.
the next objective that D plus Kid don't care about that much, but will probably fight for because they want to win the team fight and push down mid. He is going to be, I mean, with 2 stopwatches now, because Pulbe has also picked one up. 3 stopwatches, Valdez. Thanatos has it.
man.
How does Irelia do anything?
Hey, well, I want to ask you, you think that KT are buying too many control wards in this game?
No, I think it's actually fine.
You don't think they're wasting their money?
Nope, I actually think
And
vision
that
is
control
important.
wards
They
are
need
bad?
it. They need it versus this Jace. I actually think it's a good call. This is a KT move. They always do this, even in LCK, and everyone's like, why are they buying control wards? Don't they just want to not be able to see what's going on? Why can't the support doesn't have his? He already has his item. All right. Listen, chat. It's a good idea.
In before somebody clips this and sends it to LS, and it's totally taken out of context. Can't wait.
They will end the clip before you said that.
Yeah, the clip is already over. I made sure to, you know, put a little, you know,
Thanks for the pause, Valdez.
little pause so that they can clip their video or they clip their clip. Yeah, exactly.
So you can clip while you clip.
Exactly, yeah. So KT get Ocean Drake, and DK got an inhibitor turret.
Any Kraken Slayer as real enjoyers in the chat? It's big damage.
It's huge. Ezreal is slowly but surely becoming
All
a
right.
real 80 carry.
Hold on, can KT get soul while losing the game, or will they also be denied soul while losing the game? Hold on. Can they actually get one of these 2 things, defending the Nexus or getting the Drake? Let's find out. This is the moment, Valdez.
They might just lose the
He
Drake
is
too.
awake!
Okay, he is awake. He is aware. He is not clueless. And now, KT are just running. As they're like, well, you know, we couldn't possibly win this 4v2 or 4v3 after chunking Lucid. No.
However, KT defended the base. So they did get one of the 2 objectives. They got the more important one.
Yeah, DK are really just smurfing on pretty much
This
every
is
team, aren't
this
they?
is nasty, man. It's
kind of fun to cast this team. It's our first time.
yeah. Well, in a weird way, like it's fun, but it's also not. I'm like, oh man, like it's just not fair. Like give me some more of that like 6 versus 7 action here in Challengers, where there's some dynamic gameplay where we play the game. We're like, who's ahead now? Who knows? I'm like, I can tell you right now, we didn't play that game this time. There was no mystery.
Yeah.
Who's gonna win this game? I'm like, ooh, there's only one answer to this question, unfortunately. And for KT, they have to keep playing, and that's the rough reality here.
Yeah, especially when DK are just like, yeah, we know exactly what you're going to do. Like, we have enough vision. We see you're going for the Ocean Soul because that's just what you normally do anyway. We're just going to take your entire base. Thank you. And KT were like, oh no, oh crap, like what do we do? They were just so far behind the 8 ball, like even though it seemed like DK saw it coming a million miles away, they're just like not only 1 or 2 steps ahead, they're like 10 steps ahead of even the 2nd place team in Challengers, which is kind of insane.
This is what we thought maybe D plus Kia would be in the LCK, as you were kind of alluding to earlier on when we were looking at the standings and stuff, because their games looked so dominant like this, but they have stumbled a little bit in their last few matches. But
Well, we normally play the game where it's like, who do you think is going to win right now?
Yeah.
We know who's going to win.
Yeah,
right
that's
now.
what I'm saying. Like,
We
that's
know.
why we didn't play. We can't play.
Yeah,
we
we-
can't play that game in this one. It's not fun.
We can't play that game, but I want to ask you, who do you
Yes.
think wins, this DK Challengers team or G2?
That's like, can I answer? Is that okay if I tell the truth? Like,
You can tell
I
the
think
truth.
this team wins D plus Kia Challengers. I think they win, but
We got TP
please don't
coming
clip
in.
this out of context.
Please don't clip this out of context. Famous last words. Nice stun here from Castle. He's getting a pretty good trade, but yeah, guess what? He's got a stopwatch.
If
Best item
only
in the
he
game.
wasn't behind.
And now they're just 3v4ing, I guess, as 4 members of KT group up for double Cyclone. And now Rahel's just able to run forward And E straight into the enemy. Just does not care as so many low health bars. Hype is trying to turn this around. Does DK maybe having a little bit too much fun? And oh no, the blast
Lucid,
plants.
man.
Yeah, he's just too good. It doesn't matter. The game is over as they had their fun on the left side while Thanatos and Pulbe ended the game. Down will go the Nexus, and down will go game number 1 as Pulbe flashes to safety with not even an expression on his face. That is game number 1. And I believe we'll have one more of those.
We could have up to 2 more of those, but we will have at least 1 more of those. That game was a wash, man. And I think the defining moment was obviously the failed dive topside, where you see 2 kills go over to the Jace. It has the exact opposite effect, because if you fail and you don't get the kill, but maybe you get Jace's flash and you get control of the lane, you can try to freeze it in a bad spot. Like, there are other alternative victory conditions, but when you give 2 kills to the Jace, he just gets to do whatever he wants. And also, he tried so many times to try to save a play on a side because he's like, I'm Aurelia, it's Jace / Ryze, which is why we really like the Aurelia pick, because Aurelia has so much mobility and get on top of these champions and destroy them because they need a little bit more time to do their full damage. And he almost won a lot of those fights, but it was never a 1v1 because they didn't have enough map control. It never knows where the Ryze is, never knows where the Wukong is. I'm gonna check your POG vote.
It was the same as 0-1.
Oh, okay, all right. I just wanted to see if we were on the same page or not.
We have an important message in. You know what? I'm not even going to repeat it. I don't know, man. Just having a lot of fun with YouTube chat and with Twitch chat. It's great to have you guys here.
YouTube chat, we're still growing. We're
still worried about you, but it's okay.
We're still getting there. It's a slow journey, but the destination is reachable. Maybe by summer season. Okay, maybe by summer season, YouTube chat will be. We could show YouTube chat to people. You know what I mean? Maybe YouTube chat is ready to go outside, like by summer season.
It's like the early workings of an AI, like it's just a little bit too weird. It doesn't make sense yet. And then eventually they can show off their technology. There were a couple of moments where KT actually did get a 100 gold lead, I think.
Yeah, this game was never about the gold lead, though, really. It was just about where the gold was on the side of D plus Kia and how their composition outscales, because most of the game, as you say, until 24 minutes, when the big gold lead spikes up, most of the game is pretty even. And we were talking like 1,000 gold at most, sometimes like less than 500 gold for a lot of that early game. But having that much gold on the Ryze and on the Ezreal, who picked up 2 kills early, just meant that it was just kind of inevitable. And we didn't even get to see like any real team fights. We just saw side lane win conditions into, oh no, we have to catch the side lane. Oh, there's a Wukong there. This is a problem. I think we'll see.
I should have voted for Pulbe.
I think we'll see a split vote between the top 3 on this map.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. And it is going to be Lucid who does pick it up. So at least one of the voters on the other side voted for Lucid. Or they all voted for someone different. And we got the 2 Lucid votes in there. So 400 POG points for the Wukong, who was kind of just everywhere and had some really fun engages and stole the Ocean Soul away.
I love his name so much. And just, he's so lucid, man. Like, he knows, he sees. Like, it's a perfect name for his play style. He sees all, he knows all. Like, the only better name he could have would be like Omniscience, okay? Like,
yeah.
But that doesn't roll off the tongue as well as Lucid, so actually he chose the right one.
He did a good job in choosing his name.
Yeah.
Unlike myself.
Well, I mean, he got there eventually.
Yeah, kind of. Are the CC scores in Challengers just way higher than LCK, or are we calculating them differently?
Yeah, that seems. I mean, he pressed R in a lot of situations, but 206 seems quite high, Valdez. Does it count his red buff
I'm
of
not
applications?
sure about that. Every time he slows an enemy champion, maybe. Guys, we are going to take a break, and we will be back for game number 2. Enjoy these highlights.
빨간 팀의 포탑이 파괴되었습니다. 파란 팀이 드래곤을 처치했습니다. 빨간 팀의 포탑이 파괴되었습니다.
Hello, we are back for game number 2 of DK versus KT. First one, very one-sided, as Lucid was able to push it forward for his team, picked up the Pog. Polbay also having a fantastic game on the rise, just kind of everywhere.
That hammer that like smashes brings the Korean casters up and then brings us up. That's Jace's hammer, right?
Probably.
I think so, right?
I don't know of any other hammers in League of Legends.
Thanatos' Jace hammer that like he's actually controlling the show. You know, he
Thanatos
decides,
is producing.
Yeah, he decides whether we appear or not, whether we're muted or not, while also winning and 1v2ing under turret.
He is really powerful, so I wouldn't be surprised.
He snaps his fingers and then the hammer swings.
Thanatos?
Yeah.
Why does he snap his fingers though? He's not Thanos.
I know, but he just snaps his fingers and it happens, man.
He just snaps his fingers.
He doesn't care about Thanos. He's like, whatever. Like, I was snapping before you came out. He's like, I was born before Marvel became popular again.
Warren's hammer, Poppy's hammer. No, those champions don't exist. Sorry, guys. The only champion that's in the meta right now is Jace. So that's the only one with a hammer. That's just the way it is. And do we think KT is going to tie this up?
No. But I think they'll probably have a better chance in Game 2 than they did in Game 1 because I don't think the game state is going to go that crazy into the favor of D plus Kia that early like it did. Feisty did get the 1 kill, you know, onto the rise early, but he was Syndra, and it's one of his favorite picks, and he's really good at it. That's his first loss of the season on Syndra, but I feel like the more time goes on, the more Syndras we see. I feel like especially for you and I in Challengers, the more we're skeptical of Syndra, the more we're like, don't know about this one. His build was good. Still not enough.
Yeah.
Not feeling it at the moment.
He couldn't really do it all alone. I mean, I liked the build. He was nearly killing Wukong before Lucid could even engage. Like, there were a lot of angles that Feisty found, but it was basically just him. The Aurelia was totally shut down inside lanes. The jungle, I mean, what can you even say? Like, it almost felt like there was only one jungle. Although
He tried a lot. Hambak did try a lot to make an impact.
He was very much trying very early on, and he got that first Rift Herald, and he got some of the Drakes, but just not quite the same impact.
A lot of his aggression backfired. He ended up falling way far behind on farm, so had his level 6 very late. He obviously failed the dive topside, which was still, like you mentioned many times on the broadcast, like a good choice on paper. But unfortunately, he was on the Rift. He did it on grass.
Oh no. Or in the river, maybe.
Yeah. Well, we're going to this one. KT has selected blue side, so they will be the ones with pick priority this time around. See what they have planned here as we move into this draft for game number 2. I think the draft was defined by what was a really cool Aurelia R5 that unfortunately all in at a timing where the game was shaped by a mistake, right? Like it all goes back to that one moment. So we could see them run it back, but probably not going to happen on blue side.
Does that mean they're going to pick set this game?
Probably not.
Probably not. Okay. I thought it all came back to the set, but I guess not.
It's not 2022 anymore, Valdez.
Times change. The years fly by. And Elise is now a first prio ban on red side. We saw even KT ban that on the red side, even though Hambak is a fantastic Elise. Just assuming that Lucid, of course, a fantastic jungler, would be able to pick that up and do well with it.
There's the Ashe gone. Wukong, I think a really good ban here, away from Lucid, especially if we're going to go down the jungle pools a little bit here. The one that really hurt KT Rolster there in that last game, not being able to shut the Wukong's early game power down. And I mean, Lucid just had a fantastic game in general. We're really going deep on this one, so we're going to have a completely different jungle game on our hands.
How about a Viego?
I think I'd like to see Viego, but it was banned last game, and if it's not picked in the first phase, I do think it will go by the wayside. Lucian, by the way, still up here. We'll see if D+ want to take that one away in this final slot. Nope, preferring the Maokai, and considering it was K2 banned the Lucian last time, they think it's still very strong, even with some of those nerfs to Nami, so it might just be a first pick Lucian here, considering how many of these jungles have been removed. Ryze also a pretty safe pick here if you wanted to blind it and just feel very safe and react to what D+K is going to play. But I'm hoping for a hype solution, but they'll take the Ryze.
Yeah, Ryze coming through seems pretty strong and even higher priority here. So what are DK going to respond with? This might be an opportunity for Pulbay to pull out the Syndra and say, let me show you how it's done, even though he did get solo killed.
You're giving over the Lucian, though, with this.
Ooh.
So I think we'll probably see Lucian jungle. Not Nami jungle, because this is the safer option. We have seen Nami Draven. It has not worked very well in Korea at all. It has worked middling in other regions, but just putting it out there, you know? But grab the Lucian first, not the Nami. They actually just want to see what the jungle matchup's going to be before taking that one, so...
I don't think we'll see Lucian jungle. There are other more viable junglers, says Papa Smithy. Zeri Yumi, or Zeri Lulu, my brain is very much, you know, programmed to be a certain way. Sorry about that, guys. AIs make mistakes from time to time.
Not going to prioritize the jungle here, as D+ wanting to get a soul lane online, and it's not blind, so this Ryze pick could be protected. How do you feel about this Swain pick? Not a huge fan of what it means for this Lucian draft.
Yeah, Swain has been having some very mixed results. Read very negative results. You know, has been picked up sometimes, and you can see kind of where the power lies. Just a lot of teams have not really been able to make it work just yet here in Korea. And it provides a great front line. You really need to have some damage to back it up, because otherwise, you know, it's got great survivability. It's kind of like Rod of Ages in a champion.
Yeah.
But you need to have somebody who's a Death Cap or an Infinity Edge on your team as well.
The Jace is taken away from Thanatos here after what happened last game. Pretty reasonable ban, though I don't think the synergy is that high with the Swain pick here. Something with side lane power or a strong, sticky melee champion would be what you're looking for. The problem is long-term damage here on the side of D plus Kia. Viego, I think, actually great in this draft, something you were talking about earlier, but the Lee Sin still makes it through, serves a similar purpose here. Isn't going to be as snowbally in team fights with the Swain, because Swain gets somebody low, Viego gets the kill, and then the fight goes longer and longer and longer, and Swain ult gets more power. Viego definitely stronger, but still the Lee Sin is going to have a lot of power to dive and set up kills on the bottom side with the Zeri and Lulu. I think that's why we see these jungle bans here for KT. They wanted to kind of protect this. They gave the Lucian over intentionally. They wanted to play the Zeri Lulu, but the Lee Sin is still a problem. And guess what? Lucid's pretty good on the pick. He has been for a long time.
Yeah. Definitely a lot of opinions being thrown back and forth in the chat, but I think in this case it should be fine. Now, note that Hambak has gone for the Poppy, and this is something we used to see all the time into stuff like Lee Sin, Wukong, etc. So
one of the best defensive junglers for the Zeri lanes in 2022 summer.
It's almost as if they saw this coming and they had a planned counter pick in the jungle for this, because Poppy in general is not a very popular pick nowadays.
Yeah, that's a really interesting thought, because a lot of this draft for KT feels like it's fishing for a great scaling Zeri draft, right? Because you have Poppy, who can defend reasonably well against those ganks bottom side. You have Ryze that scales. You have a Jax that can buy time in a side lane. Jax into the Cassante has been, you know, it's been kind of a skill-based matchup, right? We've seen it go both ways. Really about your counter-strike timings. Do you push too far? Do you get killed by the Cassante under turret? We've seen that surprisingly a lot, as the champion is still pretty new. And Cassante can dash, pull you in with the ultimate, ghost to make sure he can get behind you. Can be a very frustrating matchup to play as Jax, because you want to both push your lane advantage, but if you get too close to the turret and you die, you actually then give the advantage to the Cassante. I think KT have a good draft, just like I thought in Game 1. They had a really solid draft. There were some really good win conditions, but will they be able to overcome the massive skill gap here? It feels like that D plus Kia has is the big question.
Well, they weren't able to do that in Game 1. That was certainly part of the issue, and I would like to see the Swain actually work in a match and, you know, get a better idea of why we do see all these pro teams playing it. Like, we have seen it have marginal success, but pull bait on the Swain, I have some faith that he can make it work. The Poppy, you know, can it actually knock away the Swain? Will that be enough? Will that be the right play in many situations? I'm not so sure.
Looks like we're getting ready to jump into this. I know Pullbay's got a great win rate on the Swain. He and Bulldog both pioneering it last year. Oh
It
man,
happened.
it's rare. That's a good sign for the Swain.
That's a rare one, guys.
소환사의 협곡에
You were here for it.
환영합니다.
I was there, PogChamp.
I was there. It's because I had a terrible intro. I was like, yeah, Pullbay and Bulldog, good Swain players. And then we go into the game, I'm like, ooh, that was the worst
This
intro
is
ever.
League of Legends.
It had to save the show after I had that terrible, terrible setup to the game. I apologize to everyone.
So
You ever just walk in?
you ever just walk into a brush, not know what's on the other side? Well, Rebel is
Pullbay.
there. Uh-oh. Okay, he's gonna heal and get away. So that's actually pretty nice for Rebel. I mean, not the entire situation.
Yeah, I mean,
but the
it
fact
could
that
be
he only
worse.
has to heal
It could be worse, Valdez.
could be much worse.
Could have lost a flash. Could be dead. Well,
Uh-oh, Chronicler said he played League of Legends. That's not a good sign. Oof.
Well, I will tell you guys, I will admit a secret. I play a lot of League of Legends. I play it a lot. It hasn't affected my mental health yet. It's tried. It has tried.
You're one
My
of the lucky
opponents and my
ones.
teammates have tried.
You're
but
one of the lucky ones.
I've actually personally been enjoying it a lot this year. I think patch 13, both, you know, 0.1 and 0.1b have been great. I've been enjoying the game a lot.
So guys, we're not live on the LCK channel because this is Challenger League. This is the Tier 2 league of the LCK. So it's a separate Twitch channel, a separate broadcast, a separate tournament entirely, where you will see some of the up-and-coming talent in Korea try to vie for spots on the main LCK roster, which happens between Wednesday and Sunday, not on Mondays and Tuesdays, which it is now in Korea. We also had questions about the number of people in the studio. It's 2 p.m. on a Monday.
Yeah.
That's why, you know, most people are at work or they're at school.
It's honestly, now
Just
that I'm
letting you guys know. I figured I'd take the non-sarcastic approach this time. You know, where is Showmaker? Showmaker's on the LCK team. He doesn't play for the Challenger squad.
Where is Feisty? He's right here up the lane.
Who are these players? Well, Feisty, yeah, they're going to read the situation very well, as Lucid just waits for that, and he goes back in. That was insane. As Humbug's like, well, Poppy counters Lee Sin, and generally it can, but not if you use your steadfast presence before
Humbug,
the Lee Sin jumps in.
Humbug is a Hex Flash enjoyer. He doesn't like regular Flash, that's why he flashed there. Just wants to go get the Hex Flash up as soon as possible. He likes to kind of squat before he goes, you know? And interesting call. So yeah, just to further explain what Valdez is talking about here, the steadfast presence is good from Humbug, but unfortunately, he just waits it out. Waits it out. Okay, it expired. And then Lucid flashes here, and then Humbug flashes to join. He's a dodge the never, but I didn't realize he had another one out there. I thought he just flashed for no reason, but he's actually trying to dodge the never move there, so still a valuable flash. I misjudged you, Humbug. I did not see the never move come out, but you did, and you flashed.
Yeah. And we saw that in game 1 too, where Lucid came around at level 3. He was looking for a gank on mid, and he kind of just backed off because he saw Feisty playing a little bit more forward than he should be in that situation. So didn't amount to a kill in that case just because they saw the counter gank coming, but this time they were able to play around the counter gank and actually make first blood happen much earlier on.
A very interesting choice of draft here to go for the Zeri Lulu into the Lucian Nami, which has had so much success in the LCK. The Zeri has not. It's getting better. It has been, you know, some of the stronger teams have been picking up because for a while it was all strong teams are playing Lucian only. All weak teams are trying Zeri and losing, so it's kind of evened out a little bit more, but still has definitely been Lucian favored. This draft is once again complex for KT, right? Like there's a lot of good win conditions in here, but pulling them out into the strongest challengers team in D+, it's going to be quite complex. And, you know, losing the heal early for Rebel is just now going back up. That's the kind of thing that really hurts you when you're going to a matchup like this, kind of with one hand tied behind your back. Nice bubble there from Loopy. Not going to be too impactful, but we've seen Zeri lanes start to hold their own a little bit more in the early parts, but as you can see here, health bar is not looking so good here, and Rahel still has enough mana to actually push a combo through. Barrier being up, I think, is why, you know, they're trying to push this a little bit further right now. So be careful.
There's the barrier, immediately gets polymorphed as well into the cleanse, and everybody loses their secondary summoner that is not Flash. So as you're mentioning, yes, very much a moment for both sides to consider a trade, and they did. And then everybody kind of handshook on the fact that they were going to use their secondary summoners in the play, and then they did kind of go for it. So the bottom lane of DK is going to stay, actually, and they're going to push the cannon wave, as it seems like they do not want to back yet. Thanatos is going to miss the cannon, so I'm not sure what to say, Wolf.
-1.
I guess that's all you can
That's
say
all
in
you.
this
Sometimes that's all you can say. Sometimes that's what you have to. Just have to let the -1 sit. It's a fact of life and LCK, and
Yeah.
you can't hit them all, Valdez. You can't last hit all of them.
Unless you're Chovy, and then you can. Most of the time.
Yeah, even he hasn't hit all of them. Everybody's missed a cannon minion. Yep, your role model, Vals. I don't know who you consider your #1 role model. I'm not even talking about League of Legends, but like, he's missed a cannon, sure.
Mr. Valdez.
George Washington famously missed 2 cannon minions during his time as president.
I don't know.
King Sejong.
I don't know about that.
King Sejong.
King Sejong would never miss it.
He's missed one. He was one recorded missed cannon. Yeah.
No, I don't think so. He has won many battles, actually. Lucid's in a little bit of trouble here as he is not able to hop out now. The steadfast presence lasting a while, but he will not take too much damage. To be honest, Poppy can't do much, and the bottom lane couldn't rotate up in time, and neither could Feisty, who is also sitting on 0 damage at this point. So Lee Sin pretty much super safe, especially with that early start, even as a Ruby Crystal. So
yeah, he's pretty tanky like for the early game, and he has a little bit of extra sustainability. So not much you can do about this, and you don't want to be fighting into early Swain. Swain gets more problematic later on if D plus Kia have a stable lead, but in an early skirmish like this, Ryze isn't going to have the same amount of power as he is in a straight up 5v5 where everyone's just clumped up on an objective. And we saw that was kind of the way that Swain was played when he became popular after his little mini rework last year, where he's just super busted on first Drake. He's super busted on first Herald, which was the big meta last year. As over here,
we'll play, but Cassante is just going to be Cassante.
Never
Just
get
back
excited
away.
about Cassante potentially dying.
Unless he's near his turret. Well, that not in the, I missed the
Of the lane
potentially-
opponent.
Yes.
Yeah, the lane opponent might potentially die.
A little bit of a rotation down on the bottom side.
Hambach with a good read, but a little bit slow, and Pulpe's here to deny him.
Yeah, Hype has already taken a lot of damage, but Rahel takes 2 turret shots. Not going to matter for Lucid. Gets in and gets out as Rebel. He wants to flash it oh so badly, but he will not. And man, Lucid is just so clean. This guy
He
is
is
insane.
insane, man. I mean, I've watched so many of the Challengers games that he's played this season. This is our first time commentating him, though, and it just hits different. And he's playing, obviously, into the #2 team. He did play into the #2 team when it was T1 already, but this is just crazy. As so much damage is done here from Rahel. He takes an extra turret shot here during Polymorph. The kick is good. Qs afterwards instantly goes to Loopy, who's in range of the safeguard, and gets out cleanly. Doesn't even get his full health back, Giga Chad. Just going straight back to farming.
No time to lose. Giga Chad's busy. he's on that grind set, you know.
He is awake.
His eyes have been opened to the possibilities of the Lee Sin. And you guys are mentioning a lot about the steadfast presence timing. Yes, that is a potential option, but it's very difficult to time it.
He was a little bit late to the play, unfortunately, too. If Hambach
Yeah.
is there a little bit faster, reads this a little bit faster, I think there's a lot more outplay potential there.
Here comes Lucid.
He has a control ward here. They also have Bloom. They're not going to use it.
There he goes over the wall. Oh, no. Nice angle there for the KT jungler to pick that one up. Will he get the eye, though, as Hambach is going to miss the helicopter. And this will be denied. No eye will go the way of KT.
This is a really nice timing for D+, because they can collapse over the wall and maybe steal, but they can turn this into a fight right away at the critical juncture of where the smite needs to happen and where the eye needs to be picked up, where Swain is in perfect position to press R and say, no, you cannot be in this area, you cannot actually fight with this, or you will lose the war of attrition. And when you know that it's going to be a 3v3 at maximum because the AD carry is locked down on the bottom side, it's where Swain is going to be at his strongest in the early game, like we were talking about. Watch the counter-strike.
Which helicopter do you like more, Jax or Poppy?
Gonna have to go with Poppy.
Yeah.
Just think it's a little bit more stylish.
I think
it ruins my solo queue experience a little bit less too, generally.
it's a bit more energetic. Like Jax looks like he's having, it's like too easy, you know. His one is, I guess he's swinging something that's much lighter.
It's like he's got a basketball he's spinning on his finger. You know, it's,
kind of.
It's not quite the kind of oomph that the Poppy helicopter has.
Yeah, Poppy's got a big hammer. She's a Yordle, you know. It's kind of got that lower base of gravity. It's kind of swinging it with her whole body, so pretty nice. As they're trying to gank Cassante again, I'm not sure why. Oh, well, Thanatos is going to face check that, as in goes Castle. And they are going to land the Counter-Strike this time, and he's just going to bring Castle in under the turret. The Q will miss this time, as now the Realm Warp will get Castle to safety.
Lucid might be able to get more here if they continue this push. Poolbay, by the way, with the cannon wave here is going to grab turret plates worth of cash money. Hambach here trying to catch this wave, but it's just going to be never moved. And that's Rylai's done already, by the way, for Poolbay. He is so ahead in this game, sitting on a stopwatch too. Still no Feisty back in the lane, very late back as he was dealing with that top wave. This is just one of those games where it's only 2 kills, but suddenly 2,000 gold lead because the macro follow-up has been so good. Loopy has ult here, so considering just kind of zoning out as this Drake spawns. Look at Lucid, gotta be careful about where you're standing, you don't know where Lee Sin is.
Probably not gonna go in onto the Poppy. That's one thing that the Poppy gets, a lot of defense, and in that case you can definitely react with Steadfast Presence.
Yes.
Just like the second he starts to dash in, you just press that, and Lee Sin can't quite get the engage. He was looking onto your team, onto your Zeri, stuff like that. Can do a great job of appealing for this roster.
And that's going to be just enough. Gets on top of the Poppy, pushes him away. Bottom side, they have control. Poolbay in a fairly risky spot here with this low mana, but has enough to ult. That's all he really needs because he's got a stopwatch. And this is a very difficult fight for KT to win because remember, Nami has ult here too. Like Loopy can just say no at any point in time. So if you're going to commit, you're going to have to commit hard, and it's not going to be an easy fight.
Well, they're going to knock away the Swain.
Now you can do it.
And oh, the polymorph comes in. Lucid not able to get in there. The Steadfast Presence goes up and then it goes down. In goes Lucid straight into 4. Definitely not the angle he was looking for. Is now hype. He's getting pretty hype. He's got a great angle here as Poolbay is trying to zone everybody away on the Swain single-handedly. He is doing a decent amount of damage, but he's all alone. And even with the stopwatch, I mean, he's not going to survive for long enough. So KT actually do take a nice fight.
Oh, we might have a pause here because Lucid died and made a misplay, and I haven't seen that before, so there might be an error in the game.
We believe this to be impossible.
I haven't seen it. It was the first time I've ever seen him make a mistake, and I'm just not ready to accept it yet. But going in like that, a little bit aggressive because he wants to pair it up, obviously, with the Swain coming through and doing all of that damage, which we did see ultimately happen there at the end. But Rahel doesn't have his Gale Force just yet. He's sitting on a Noon Quiver and a Dirk. So the decision to go in here and try to actually force this fight with the Swain is really rough. Swain obviously gone here at this point too, and Polymorph comes through. Lucid's like, all right, I've got the Nami ultimate, waits out the Steadfast Presence, and then instantly goes in. But Swain just isn't here yet, and so he's just kind of asking for it here. Just instantly it gets deleted. Rahel is like, Poolbay, I know you're in there, but like I just don't have the damage, man. Even with these Nami heals, there's just no way I can contest this. And Poolbay tries to stopwatch his way into something. A little bit of miscommunication here for D plus Kia, and Swain definitely really strong at this moment in time. But you know what? If he's kicked out of the fight, I mean, it's definitely winnable. That was a really good play from Hambach. They secure the Drake and win the team fight.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. I think that D Plus did kind of overstep their bounds, and we saw in game number 1 that it was pretty good the way that they found their angles. They kind of went in when they knew they were going to win some fights, and they didn't overstep. But in this game, maybe getting a little bit overconfident, you know. Lucid looking for the crazy kick angle after a couple of good plays. Got to be careful. Some of the mechanics of these players can be better than some of the players we see in professional leagues, but sometimes the decision-making needs to be the follow-up on that as well.
It's funny to say this, but like D Plus usually not in positions where they have to win hard-won fights as well. Like they're just like, oh yeah, I think we still win this even without the Swain. You do not. Speaking of without the Swain, Poolbay here just collapsed on, but he's just gonna look at them and walk away.
Yeah.
It's all good.
And now we do have a little bit of a full angle, a little angle perhaps in the bottom side, but not going to amount to much. DK got to be careful. I mean, they're going to be relying on their Lucian a lot for big time damage into this mid game, into this late game. So definitely want to see you know, if they're going to actually win here in the mid game, they need to start making plays with their Lucian rather than just with their Swain.
And this is why the Swain pick here, as good as it is for early game and as amazing as Fulbe is at the Swain, the functionality of it in this draft is kind of disjointed because Swain is so good when he can actually just be this insane... Okay, hold on. Hype.
Yeah.
He does not commit the Gale Force here. Gets the Swain W2, but going for it.
Okay, culling not quite strong enough to make it through the minions.
Should be enough to get the turret, though.
Yeah, still a very big win there for the bottom lane of DK.
But going back to the point about the Swain, is he usually works really well with AD carries that do a ton of damage and are low ranged, but like do long-term damage, whereas Lucian's a little bit more upfront burst. And yeah, he can do long-term damage really late in the game when he starts getting items online, but his mid-game is going to be super awkward with this Lucian, and Lucian's mid-game is going to be awkward with the Swain, where you don't have a lot of damage, because what you can do with an Azir, for example, is do a ton of damage, hit a big knock-up, and then Lucian just executes a few people with his combos and his burst damage in those fights, and then later on, you know, the Lucian comes online. But the Swain, you're like, okay, you do a lot of damage over a long period of time, but I don't yet, and vice versa. So, whereas Lucian does a lot of damage very quickly to single targets in the early mid, but Swain is not the champion who's going to go in there and finish them off like an Azir would, for example, just as an example, another mid that we have seen paired with the Lucian. And Pulbe he's in a nice spot in this game. Is going towards his Mythic now, which we assume is going to be the Leandries. So we've seen this combo a lot with Leandries and Rylai's. His TP is committed as this Drake spawns in 10.
Yeah. Mountain Soul going to be huge for both of these teams, you'd have to imagine. Especially with, you know, some decent tanks within the composition as well to actually use that percentage of resistance that they can get. These Rift Heralds taken by KT. They're going to try to use this for Prio in mid to try to push them back. DK, a little bit late to the party because of this.
Okay, a lot of damage here onto Hambach. He's actually grabbing that shield from Rebel too. They can engage now. Well, it looks like that was the plan anyways, but the positioning here of Hype, the spacing is really good. Castle on the edge of this as well.
I wonder if KT look at the side of DK and they're like, well, there's no Lee Sin. I wonder where he could be. And look at Castle. He's like, okay, well, he's not in our jungle. So he's probably on the right side, I guess? Like, I just wonder what the comms are like.
The comms are probably just hold the choke here, right? Because we have control ward on this brush, and even if Lee Sin comes through, we should be able to focus.
The choke. They give them a free entry into this one. They kind of knew where Lucid was. The polymorph is good, and down he will go. But it might not matter as a massive Poppy ultimate. It's going to hit everybody but the Cassante, unfortunately. Hits 3 members away. And then was left with Cassante to go on before. And, you know, a little bit too low on the health bars here. No Zeri on the side of KT. They're going to have to give this one away.
Pretty huge win here for D+, because we've talked about how good the Mountain Soul is for both teams, but the Swain is going to get so much value out of it if they can get the Soul, but even individual Mountain Drakes are going to be pretty nice for those extra resistances when the Swain becomes a big boss later on. As yeah, Lucid coming in here, instantly shut down, but the follow-up knockback here does not catch the Cassante, so it becomes really easy for him to just pull Hambach over the wall, forcing a flash here, and there's just, you push them away, but you didn't really hurt them, you didn't do any damage to them. No Zeri means easy cleanup, and now that Leandries is done here for Pulbe, so he's going to do a lot of damage, again, long-term in these fights, and having this extra Drake buffer does help his chances quite a bit. As 4v1.
Yeah, Thanatos doesn't care about anything. He's just standing in front of 4 of them. And maybe this is the idea behind the Swain that can work in challengers, where you just kind of dogpile the Zeri and say, well, you're very low range. We're just going to throw everything on top of them and not die at the same time, and eventually just burn through, because Hype died pretty quickly in the last fight.
Yeah. Now it's a 5-man group here for D+. No Jax until his rotation up here, trying to take this turret down. We're kind of K-ramming here for a second, as all of KT was grouped, but definitely would have liked to see some faster side laning here. Thanatos is now going down to match the Jax. And we have a bit of a lull state here, and I think we're going to have one for the next 3 minutes or so, because I don't think either of these teams could take the Baron. It's a 1.5 item Zeri, 2 items, but it's a Lucian here for Rahel, so it's going to be Zeri left alone here, but a trap is set.
Yeah, Flang teleport coming in, but again, a lot used onto the Swain here. The flank, not great, just kicked away. Polbey actually in a bit of trouble. Has to actually flash away from this fight, even though a decent amount of damage was done to the KT backline. You can see that Lucid now looking for the angle. And keep in mind, that was a KT engage.
Yeah.
That was supposed to go better for them.
Yeah, they did not. I mean, they didn't actually execute any targets, and there's just so much damage. Even catching the Swain there and Polbey going down low, he did a decent amount with his Leandries to the front line, so Zeri going down very low means there's just no chase potential here. You don't have any walls to operate around in mid either as Zeri, so you're kind of like, if I do go any further forward, I'm putting myself at risk, so just going to have to back away there. No execute onto a single target with the initiation there from Hambak, so longer fight goes the way of D plus Kia in this case. And we kind of go back to, we kind of reset back to neutral here.
It's like, you know, you're watching these games, maybe you guys have been sitting for about an hour and a half or so. It's time to stand up, stretch those legs, you know, get the blood flowing. You don't want to be standing for longer than an hour.
Yep, get a glass of water,
yeah.
hydration check.
Get hydrated. But yeah, that's kind of like what happened in that last fight. We kind of like stood up there, like did a little stretch, maybe a small, you know, couple squats, but then we sat back down. I mean, we're kind of chilling now once again.
Yep, just hanging out, just chilling. Somebody asked if this is basically like the, I didn't see the exact quote, but like, is this the B League or like second tier? Yes, this is Challengers. So these are the new potential up-and-coming LCK players. These are the top 2 teams in Challengers as well, so.
Is this played in Lal Park? No. It's actually played in a studio that used to be a movie theater.
Yep, the Daehangukjang here in Chungmuro in Central Seoul, the WDG Arena. That's where it's at.
Yeah. We are
Thanks for asking.
We are not at Lal Park today. Hello, Deku-chan.
I think at some point the Z in Valdez has just become ironic. Like it was, for those who don't know, well, I knew Valdez for a really long time, like long before, you know, we cast together.
Since the universe existed.
But I think I probably knew you for about 6 months and still always just put a Z at the end of your name because I put you in my phone that way and I just assumed that's the way it was. So every time I see somebody put a Z there, I feel like I have personal experience with this, and I'm like, I understand, like, it seems like it could be a Z, but it's not.
I think it's the more popular spelling, to be honest. People might even, like, Google, like, oh, what's the correct spelling of this name? And they might see the Z and assume. It's just the way it is sometimes. Spellings and language. Imagine that.
People don't know how to put the O umlaut in my name, and
I didn't even know what an umlaut was before I met you, so. That's a nice little one. Feisty in a little bit of trouble, but that's where the Poppy gets a lot of value. Gonna knock down the Nami. Unfortunately, Hambak went about 17 leagues too far, as now Polbey is unkillable. And Hype, you know, gets the 1 kill, but is eventually going to go down here to Polbey. This Castle now alone trying to frontline against the Swain. Not going to go well for him, as insane amounts of damage coming out. And Polbey, again, unkillable. And in some of these messy fights and challengers, the Swain does look better than we have seen it in LCK.
Yeah, well, in these longer fights where you're going super deep for a play like this on Poppy, and then the rest of the team has to follow up into that Swain damage, and the Swain's really difficult to kill, it can go badly, as Feisty just decided there at the last part of that fight, like, hold on, I think my abilities outrange the Swain, and decided that he would stick around and try to do some additional damage. He is punished, so an additional kill going over, I think that was not necessarily forced. And D+ now going to grab Soul Point here on this Mountain Drake, and the initial setup here looks kind of hopeful, right? Because you're like, okay, Bubble here tanked up by Feisty. He's very difficult to kill. Lots of that Lucian damage coming through. He has his shield, and you see Hambak go in. He gets out with a flash, and it's like, okay, can we win? Like, if we froze it right there, like, is this winnable? And then you've already used your kit. Polbey's walking forward.
Baron. Well, this is not a drill.
This is not I don't know about this one, Valdez.
Poppy's pretty good at stopping this. You see that
Can they
Lucid's
get
not
out?
able to get into the pit. Can they get out is the real question. Take a look at Hype on the left side of the fight. That is the real key member here as he's trying to back.
He
but
backed right there.
Lucid's just trying to slow him down. He's like, I don't care if I die, I just don't want you to back. And Lucid might go down here. We'll see if he did his job, though, in keeping Hype around.
Here
Looks
comes
like
Pull
he
Man.
has, and he has survived. But can anyone actually kill Hype is the other question. As Lucid tried and he failed. As, yes, Hype will be baited, and he will eventually go down. And I say baited, I mean he didn't really have a way to get out. So nicely done by the side of DK. Feisty, the only one to hold on to the Baron buff.
Yeah, so a big win here for D+ Kia despite the Feisty buff. He is going to get his Empowered Recall off here. I don't think Thanatos can interrupt. Bye. I don't like it when that sound effect gets cut off like that. Makes me uncomfortable, Valdez, but it's okay. Does get out of there, but it was the saddest part about this was when Hype was like, I think maybe I can recall here.
Yeah.
I don't think he gets out regardless. Whether he doesn't channel that, because look at where he is on the left side of this fight. Pulbay ults here early, which is part of why he actually dies, because his ult does expire. Hype goes left here and then gets caught by Lucid. This is what's happening on the right side of the fight as Poppy's locked down. And then Hype chases here, which is really ultimately why he and Castle end up getting taken out, is just hoping they can chase Elise in. Pulbay has no ult, so they're like, okay, maybe we can force this, but everybody wraps around. The rest of your team is already backed away. Feisty's like, guys, I guess I'm the only one who gets to keep the Baron buff. Very disjointed here from KT on what was a risky call, a well-executed secure, let's say, of the Baron, but the cost is very high here. Now, looking at a lot of gold here on the side of D+ Kia in the lead. It's 1,300 here, and they still have that advantage in Drakes.
Some fat stacks. Hambach thought he was tanky enough, but he is.
Not alone, but with Lulu's help.
Yeah. It's enough to get him out, as now we got a little gank brush. Hype might... Okay, they're just going to spot him. Them. Thanatos is coming back. He's like, oh, I don't care about this area. And Hype, he's got to be careful. He's got a wall this time. At least his Rebel nearly dies. That is the Lucian effect, who has 3 items and is critting every single attack. So it feels like Castle, he's like, oh, I'm just the team fighting Jax. Don't you guys like to see me in your games? No, we don't. We don't like to see the team fighting Jax. Castle, I don't know why you asked that of me.
Well, you know, sometimes the Jax can find value elsewhere, but in this game, he's kind of stuck in the, I'm level 16, maybe it's me, maybe they group up, it's a Swain, they're all trying to ball into that Swain ult, right? Maybe there's some Counter-Strike potential. It's a big 1.6 fan, but it's looking rough, because as long as Pulbay has ult, and anyone is in range of that running at them, it's bad. And Hype can do a lot in fights around the jungle, right? Because there's a lot of walls to work with. He can use that to actually poke, and he's very mobile there. But in the mid fights and exchanges, he kind of has to stay back. He's very muted there. On objective fights, he's also very exposed in this draft. And if he gets caught by Lucid, that's the end of that. If he gets caught by a tidal wave, that's the end of that, right? So him having flash here is pretty huge. He is on 3 items now. And it's a bit of a newer version of this build with the Runins and the Quick Blade, so it's still a big spike. I would argue as big as his old spike with IE and 3 items like we'd see in the past. But like, can he do the damage? Can he survive long enough? Because this comp does have, in a 5v5 fight that's really long, that goes, you know, more than 20 seconds, they should be able to win those. But the setups here have been so good for D+, and now we're going into this final Drake fight they have to take. At least they do have the item spikes. Rabadon's Death Cap online here. Stopwatch for the Jax, so he can be quote-unquote team fight Jax that you don't like. In this case, he needs to be, and he has a stopwatch at least.
Oh,
so
no.
They have the tools, but will they use them correctly? That's what we're about to find out here in 15 seconds.
I think Feisty might be able to get the job done. Some of the sustained damage from the Rise in the fight is going to be ginormous, especially compared to the Swain.
Humongous?
No, ginormous.
Oh,
actually,
sorry,
yeah.
just misunderstood.
Pulbay, though, is pretty unkillable, so we'll see. I mean, how this does go. Castle has got a nice angle for now. The damage out of Rahel is really, it's becoming an issue for the side of KT, especially because it's higher range.
KT got to go in.
Than what Hype can do. Hambog in a lot of trouble there, not supporting their Poppy right now, as he is nearly going down. A lot of damage, though, into the tank. As you see Feisty, look at the damage he's doing on the top side. He's nearly taken out Rahel already. Pulbay on below 20% health. He's there just trying to get into the pit here. Pulbay does not have a Zhonya's, and down he goes to Castle. As, okay, they're trying to get on top of Hype here, who is in a bit of trouble, but he is Zeri. The kick comes out. And look at the Rahel, he can never even join the fight in this one, as KT are going to be able to take down the Drake and take down the fight in the end.
This is the first fight that really showcases the problems with the Swain and the Lucian together as a duo compared to the scaling damage here on the side of KT. When we watch this fight again in the replay, notice that D+, wait. Okay, Castle counterstruck. Now's the time we go in. Once the counterstrike's on cooldown, we're actually going to collapse into this fight. And this is that moment. Counterstrike's on cooldown, tidal wave goes out, and then it's just super disjointed here. As you're watching Lucid just not in this fight at all, Pulbay is already chunked down, so when he ults, it doesn't really matter. It's not that threatening, it's not that interesting. He flashes out and is deleted, and then over here,
man,
Wild Growth
so
timing
good.
is so perfect.
The polymorph too.
And that's just it. I mean, we don't have to watch anything else. KT going to get a second Baron. This time, they will survive with those buffs intact. And I think we're going to a game 3 here. It does really feel like. Yeah, it's not Soul. It's not Soul yet, but they deny the Soul. They have Baron buff now. Their comp is already outscaled D+ Kia's, and there's only so many tricks you can do from this with this comp from behind. Like, it's Cassante, so side laning not as strong as Jax's. You can flank with Lee Sin. However, will it work? Like last time he tried, he sat there on the edge forever and just got shut down by Polymorph and Wild Growth. There are only so many ways to just be like, got him in this comp, and when you have Baron buff against you, you have less vision to even set up those traps.
Absolutely. Feisty is gigantic. In this game, he's got stopwatch. He is ready to go on a mission to try to pick up POG in this one. I think I think you might be right, Wolf. We might be on our way to 9 games today. If this one goes to 3 games, I think the chances of going to 9 games just...
They go high.
It skyrockets. Now, DK aren't out of this, but certainly it does feel like KT have kind of taken that one small step for the game, but one giant leap for the series.
For KT kind.
For KT kind, yeah.
Now, there is one opportunity for D+ Kia in this next fight to maybe get a pick, set something up. If KT don't have the right vision setup, if they don't have Pulbay in the right, or excuse me, Feisty in the right position, Pulbay gets big value out of his ult. If Jax is abused early, he has his Zhonya's now, by the way. Like, it's not impossible, but it seems very unlikely. I think a weaker team, you put them in the same situation that KT's in, they might not be able to use their win conditions properly here, but KT, I think, absolutely will. Like, this is Cassante pushing mid, while Castle is like, yeah, I'm going to get a whole turret. I have full side lane control here. Cassante can't even be in the same lane as him. Now, there is a little bit of pressure relieved for Pulbay there on the top side of the map. He does have teleport. But the flanking Swain, you know, not usually the game saver.
Yeah.
He's just going home.
Yeah, he's got to join for the team fights. It's really, well...
He actually decides not to. He's going to get this whole turret while they try to buy time.
They're not going to continue pushing. I mean, but they have Baron, so... Okay, he's going to get the turret, but... Really got to go back if he wants to actually fight here for the inhibitors.
He is backing now. And might be able to teleport to this control ward and maybe get an angle, but I think that's also risky. KT, as soon as they see that he's gotten the turret and backed, they back away. They're like, Swain's coming back, we're leaving. Really getting a lot of value out of this Baron. No inhibitors, though, critically. So D+ Kia will fight this next Drake fight on somewhat even footing. Yes, there are compositional problems here, and yes, KT should have the fast track there, should have prio, but at least they're not going to be dealing with super minions in their base while it's happening.
Mm-hmm. Somebody asked me about Zhonya's Jax. I think now that with some of the changes to Jax's skills, and the fact that he can use AP decently with his ultimate, I think it's a great idea, because Zhonya's is extremely strong, especially for a champ like a bruiser that normally is not going to be very good at team fighting would love to split push, this makes him a lot more potent.
He's not
when
taking,
it does come to the team fights.
Yeah, and he's not taking that much magic damage outside of Swain's burn in these fights, so having that extra armor is huge.
Yeah, it is really, really nice.
Because you're fighting into a Lucian and
bonus.
Lee Sin is
The Lucian. So, you know, there's some of that attack damage mitigated by the Zhonyas.
Exactly.
Huge, huge.
Okay, this is some poke Swain action.
Thanatos is trying to play a big front line for this team, and he's doing a pretty good job. You see that DK, you know, if they get Mountain Soul, they absolutely could still win this game.
And they're actually rushing in for this now. They've been able to break through this choke. Lucid has an angle here.
He's trying to go in there. Rebel nearly dies. He has been such an annoyance for Lucid, especially. Rebel, that is. And look at this. Pulbay pops his ult, and Kate's like, nah, brah.
Now that it's done,
We've had
guess
enough.
what?
Oh, no, that's the end of Loopy. A massive flash forward from Feisty as they are looking to get on top of DK now. Lucid, no hope for him. It's DK, nope, there's no blue buff there, unfortunately for you, Lucid. So Mountain Soul denied, another Mountain Drake for the side of KT.
I don't want to see any more Swain in my LCK or LCK Challengers games right now, Valdez. Nothing has changed with the champion on 13.1B, but he's still bringing him out. That's the end of that.
Yeah, that's the end of him. And Rahela's done a lot of damage in this game. It does not matter. Pulbay trying to single-handedly, like literally single-handedly 1v5 tried to push them away, but now he does not have an ultimate to go off of. And Rebel has been so huge every single polymorph, and no different here on to Pulbay. As they're trying to push forward, it looks like the Baron buff has ran out just a bit. The tidal wave forward to try to delay their inevitable fate here. That's okay. They did kick, and yeah, I'm just too tanky. Down they will go, and we are going to a game number 3.
The 9-game night, still a viable option.
Still a chance. There's still a chance.
Honestly, Valdez, like we said in game 1, KT's draft very good. Game 1 draft, they botched the win condition right off the bat, so we didn't even get to see it play out. This time, not so much. I loved the Poppy pick, right? Great into Lee Sin, great protection pick against those types of fights, knocking the Swain out of some of those early objectives, massive. And KT showed up with a clean plan today, and the Swain pick, it just looked totally weak outside of that one fight where he got big value, or also outside of some of those times where KT kind of walked into it face first. But when KT had a full build Rise, essentially just shooting skill shots, and they actually didn't have to commit, they could play around some of that terrain for the Zeri, it was really easy to win team fights straight up. And like the game, as soon as the Zeri and the Rise came online, it felt extremely one-sided. It felt like there was just no way. There was no chance. And really good game from Lucid regardless. Like his early game was really solid, the way he played around the steadfast presence, looking for those ganks. But I just don't think Swain really has a place in this meta unless you snowball the game. And I think given the caliber of team that KT Rolster is, I'm not a big fan of it. You know, we all have our specific things we don't like in the LCK. Like, you don't like Jax. I don't like Swain. Okay. Right now, like, it's kind of feeling like the Jax is winning and the Swain is losing. I'm just saying, but no. Just kidding.
It helps that you can build Zhonyas. This is a very good item.
But, you know, Silas, you've discussed a lot. Like, this champion needs to be banned a lot of the time. Swain is mine. Like, Swain is the one I don't like. Swain is the one I don't trust, okay? Huni hates Victor. Okay, Huni hates Victor. Like, you know, everybody has the one champion they really think is really bad right now. This is mine.
That sign said, if Hambach is alive, you have no chance, basically. There's nothing you can do. And
Did feel
Hambach
that
did
way a
have a
lot.
fun game on the Poppy.
Oh, we got a POG vote.
I did already.
My bad.
I already voted for POG. Only Wolf is behind. As you guys can see, the huge swing once we hit about 30 minutes into this game just became a bit too much. Loved the build from Feisty. He was just absolutely dunking on people. Absolutely could win it here. Wasn't my vote, but could see him being the one.
I think that there was a lot of potential votes here, honestly. I think probably anybody except the Jax, even though the Jax game was fine. Like, it wasn't defined by him, I feel like. But any of the other 4 players, if they wanted, I wouldn't feel bad. Honestly, even if it's won by Castle, I'm like, hey, it was all right, you know? But,
yeah, I'm just curious to see what the Korean side thinks as well.
I voted for
Korean
Feisty.
talent. That's fair.
I'll just put it out there.
That's a very good vote.
Yeah, I think he was the one to turn the game around with his damage. It's good positioning.
Yes, guys, this is a rebroadcast of a rebroadcast, and everybody involved is AI, including me.
Yep.
Yep.
These players
that is
aren't
the
real.
truth. How can the games be real if the internet isn't real? I don't know. Don't ask me. And
how can there be 33,681 damage on Rise when there are only 6 million people in the world?
That's a good one.
All right. Sorry, guys. We're losing it a little bit already. It's too early.
Two.
It's too early to be
the
losing it.
second that DK didn't 2-0 this, I'm like, okay, brain is out the window.
I really worried for DK in both of these drafts, but in game 1, like, Thanatos was like, "Why? What are you even worried about?" And Lucid is like, "I am a god." And in game 2, Pulbo was like, "Hold on, Swain is good. Watch me do this." And then they were doing it until they weren't. And then obviously they didn't get the lead they wanted. Losing that first Drake that prevented them from getting solos when it started to look like, uh-oh, this is bad. KT gets Baron. They don't do anything with it. They get wiped, but they still buy time and then respawn and have more items, and they're able to fight for the next objective with those items online, all the stopwatches they bought, the Zonias, etc. Is KT the best challengers team?
Ooh.
You and I were like, we were watching KT a little bit cautiously in week 1, like, okay, this team might be like, could be top 5. And then they kept rising up, winning the telecom war, go up to 2nd place, and now good draft in game 1 doesn't work out, but game 2, solid draft.
Solid draft again.
If they beat D+, what does it mean?
What does it mean? You know, I don't know. That's a really good question. I think we will have to explore that as we eventually, get into game 3 and take a look at how the play goes. Maybe DK just a little bit loose. Some interesting picks. Still considering the Swain, which hasn't had a lot of value. And maybe they will change their tune in game 3 and try to mix it up. As looks like, guys, we might just be heading straight into a break before we do go into that game number 3. As we'll see you guys in a bit. Hello and welcome back to the LCK CL live at Gen.G Esports Studio. We are getting into game number 3 of this very good series.
Spoilers!
Spoiler alert! I hope you guys are closing your eyes. It is Feisty on the rise who picks it up.
Yep, he is who I voted for, but I think your vote for the support was a good call. We don't know what the vote count is. We don't do that here, but this is a smaller team, so it would be pretty obvious who voted for whom if we did. I like to keep it a little bit anonymous. Not for the global side on the LCK. Definitely, it's like 100% known who did it, but the other side's a little bit it's a little bit more anonymous. Yeah, I thought he was the one who did turn this game around, and if he had positioned poorly or had been too far forward, might have gotten never moved, and then the Swain actually works and the draft falls apart. So good spacing, good damage, good build. As everyone's asking about what happened to Potatoes, I don't know what it means.
Yeah, he's back. Don't worry, you got him.
Oh, okay.
It's just Nightbot gets a little bit out of hand sometimes, so.
Okay, we just want to make sure Potatoes are okay.
Don't type too long of messages. Don't use too many capitals, or you might get banned if you break the rules a couple times. Unfortunately, we did not make those rules. Nightbot, I think, is on default, so that's just the way it goes. And yeah, hopefully now we can get a very nice game number 3, because this has been a pretty back and forth affair. DK looked very don't read YouTube chat.
I just YouTube chat, man. YouTube chat is always redefining the meta. It was at first it was, is this a rebroadcast? Is this a restream? The new question is this a relive? Are we living it again?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Is it a relive?
DK have selected
Blue, I'm guessing?
Blue.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. Both of the games, I think, were really... The draft mattered a lot. Sometimes we have games and challengers where it's like, okay, draft seemed like we could talk about, there's some win conditions here, but it was really just about execution and good team fighting and blah, blah, blah. I think both games are really decided by draft, because KT's first draft had some really good win cons, went out the window in the first 8 minutes of the game. That's the end of that. Game 2, KT having the better late game draft because D+ couldn't actually get the advantages and push them further like they needed to. Couldn't actually secure that Mountain Soul, which would have actually made it, I think, a lot more viable for their Swain comp to work out. So drafts have been important. First pick going to D+ Kia. Will the Elise be banned again? Will we see Lucian go through? Nope. That is the answer to that question.
Yeah, same bans so far as game number 1. We did have DK on the blue side. And let's see if anything does change here around on game 3. Patch, the new patch 13.1b, seeming pretty similar overall in our first 2 games. No big differences that I could notice, as we are going nuts here.
Our API has had some bugs. That's why you've seen the draft UI change a little bit a few times. But have no fear. It's not broken. It's just being replayed here for us, and we'll get that first pickup shortly as soon as this final ban goes through. A ban on Feisty Syndra. A lot of respect shown towards his particular power on this champion.
I guess they want to first pick Rise, as
That
they did
is,
before.
That has been a kind of defining choice, right? Even though he didn't pick up POG in game 1, he was pushing really hard in sides and had a lot of power in that game. Game 2, once again, Feisty, his extra damage in his range in those fights, the defining factor. So here we go again. Running it back.
Yeah, I like this. Rise is pretty good. Seems like he's feeling pretty good on this patch. What is going to be the answer for KT now, because you don't have your Syndra? And it's kind of interesting the way the draft went in game number 2 as well, with the Lee Sin coming out and then like the counter Poppy and all this stuff.
What if they go Varus Karma just to stop the Ezreal Karma lane? Just take the Karma away. It'd be one way to look at it. The Heimerdinger is so strong, but I think Ezreal Heimer definitely not as good. And I think we might just see, minus the Syndra, the same sort of setup here. Here comes the Wukong. can take the karma now. You have to, or it will be taken away from you.
Probably.
So I think we're kind of running it back with some variation here. We might see like a Silas here for Feisty instead.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I think the Rise can lane into it pretty well, but the Silas itself seems at a pretty high tier level at this moment in time. Feels like a pretty good champ, at least to me. So I would not mind to see Feisty jumping back onto that. But no changes for the side of DK, as again, the top side will be locked in as maybe our first Zoe Wolf on the new patch.
This has been kind of popular. Oh, never mind. We don't have to talk about the LPL or other regions or, you know, what I've seen on some high-level solo queue. Nope, just Azir. It's all right. The Azir is going to function really well in terms of damage later on, mid-game team fighting, and you know, it's very strong when you get to later stages of the game, depending on the build. I hope we see a good build here and not just Crown versus Jace. That would be sad. They're concerned about the Jhin here rather than the Ezreal Karma, which, considering how the last game went, you know, the Ezreal and the Karma weren't necessarily the problem. They did a lot later, but it wasn't defined by them. But I feel like with no Maokai here, the Jhin seems much less threatening. So once again, Lee Sin off the cards.
Yeah.
Ban Karma. I mean, it just seems super obvious here.
Yeah, I mean,
Come on, KT.
at least an Ezreal ban. Nope, Caitlyn going to once again be focused. And yeah, I mean, we have seen Caitlyn be
But
pretty insane.
Caitlyn, you don't pick Caitlyn into Varus Heimer, though. That's like not the Caitlyn angle. You pick Caitlyn into the champs that you massively outrange and have a lot of pushing power there where they don't have anything to trade back. I mean,
Where's
Heimerdinger
Wolf
turrets.
the GOAT today, by the way? Where's your biggest fan?
That
Wolf
could
the
be
GOAT.
that could
Where
be
is
his
he?
Smurf account. I'm wondering where Gator
Void
ran.
Grandma? I don't think so.
Where's Gator ran at?
Gatoran will be back. He's in Ireland. He's probably
Really?
waking up soon.
Like actually?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's been to my stream and to Chronicler's stream many times.
I just I feel like he's been a mainstay. It feels a little bit lonely without him. All right,
He'll
Viego.
be here.
By the way, this time not banned. Is going to come through here. This is a really strong comp here for KT. Ezreal Karma is the...
Wait, how did you know, Wolf?
It's the easy follow-up. We
How
saw
did
it
you
once
know?
before. I mean... how did KT
Ornn.
not know? All right, so Ornn in this draft, I'm not a huge fan of because it's good into the Jace. You could tank a lot of Shock Blasts, but how it functions in a team fight means that this is not going to be Lethality Varus, or if it is, it's going to be very tricky to pull this off because there's not a real tank setup here in this draft for D plus Gia. Wukong can absorb a lot of damage, so you could see why the Varus would want to go Lethality, also for controlling the lane against the Ezreal Karma, but Ornn isn't going to give you that much value as Varus, I think, in this draft. I'd much rather seen like a split push option here or a Camille where you have some kill pressure with the Viego topside than the Ornn in this case. It's basically saying, we failed to kill Thanatos last time. Let's not try that again. Let's just survive through
Let's get
the
value
early part.
in other ways.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
why they decided to do this, but I don't know if it's going to be the best option here for KT.
Yeah, I mean, I think it can get value for the Viego and the Azir, and there are ways for KT's comp to scale pretty well with the Ornn, but, you know, I'm worried. I think DK, now they clean things up. They're playing the same exact comp from game number 1, and they kind of just roll them again. You know, I'd be worried for KT. Maybe KT are saying, okay, let's just try to do a better job towards the mid to late and actually draft towards that, and maybe we can actually fight them in that scenario, because when you look at game number 2, I mean, they actually were able to stand up to DK in that exact scenario.
I think that the Azir, Ornn, Viego, really strong on first Herald, really strong on like second and third Drakes. This comp is very good with early ultimates on these solo laners, but once again, execution has to be crisp. You have to get ahead, or this draft will fall off big time. Ornaments on Varus, not as great as it could be on other champions.
It's not exactly your straight up Aphelios or anything like that, for sure. So we'll have to wait and see. how this one goes. I doubt they're going to give 2 kills to Thanatos this time, but who knows? Because this is Challenger League.
Too true, Valdez. Too true.
This is actually a match from the future, spring 2025. These are the main teams now. So this is actually a rebroadcast of a future match, and they have repurposed it for our viewing pleasure here in 2023. So if you guys were confused, yes, this is all just recorded, and this has already happened. Hype is in a lot of trouble. He's going to have to heal. Feel like I've seen this before.
Hype is all about the late heal. He's just about that late heal. Just making sure he gets out. Does not commit a flash.
The proper term is pre-broadcast, but it's already happened in 2025.
Check him PC.
Check him PC.
That is not normally.
It's not normally, guys.
That is not normally.
Guys,
We
you
have
think
to check
that,
the in-game deficit Valdez.
you guys think that ChatGPT is scary? Wait until ChatGPT creates ChatGPZ. Then it's going to be scary.
Oh man, that's like thinking about that's a little bit scary.
Yeah, and then we're going to have ChatGPZ creating multiple programs.
What will the Z stand for though?
Zed.
Oh my god. And then we'll have the chat, like the new Faker clone comes out.
Mm-hmm.
Ryu clone comes out. Oh no.
Yeah, just wait until those AIs start creating new AI programs.
Do you think we'll get the cast in Busan on the beach? The Faker and Ryu clones? We already missed the 10-year anniversary for that one. Or, well, we haven't yet, but I don't think the clones are going to be ready in time.
You know, I think that you and I were probably just going to... You've seen The Matrix, right? Where they're like in the vats. That's kind of where we're at right now. This is all just fake reality.
Yeah.
It's already happened. We just didn't notice.
I mean, I've already
one day
lived-
we went to sleep, and then we were just placed in there and woke up in this reality.
I've already lived the VAT tax, so I'm ready for the new VAT. VAT, you know? Just trying to get the next VAT in my life. This turret placement, by the way, and the blocking we've seen from Rebels so far has been pretty good, actually. Loopy hasn't been able to do too much damage with this Karma. He's gone for the Spell Thief's Edge. Again, more mana, faster support item. Doesn't need the regen as much if he's just going to be putting that pressure on as successfully as he is. And that level 1 onto Hype is what we see all the time in the LCK. Oh yeah, it's going to be one of those highly contested wave clear / pushing matchups. What if we got an Edge versus the 80 carry early and forced him to back, and he comes back to lane without full health? That's what happened here. So you can see Rahel and Loopy doing better this time than the last in terms of this 2v2. It is starting to go back. Hype Rebel favored here for KT Rolster. Well, they actually had a pretty nice free time here in the lane because of that level 1. Heal's still not up.
It's just been the way of things. DK have been so good at forcing it. And yeah, so you guys can check how many kills Rahel had in the VOD from 2028. I think that's the one that has the information. Just in case you were confused, trying to help out here a little bit.
Yes. Any confusers?
Uh-oh.
That's a Viego.
Nice flash, though. Good response. Seems like he kind of expected that that was a possibility, and so he was just ready. He had his finger on the flash, and he was ready to just get away from that.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate that he has to expend the flash, but what they're getting in return is a little bit more control for Wukong on the top side. You can see he's taking the Raptor camp away, and they're trying to put some pressure on this Azir early with the Rise Prio. And Azir can get some first strike value in this matchup, but it is very difficult early. And just in general, like the Rise is going to push this one through. Already bought the Mana Crystal, has a tier stacked up here, or starting to stack the tier up now. Means that it's just kind of how this is going to go for a little bit.
Wolf, we have a little bit of a lull state. I want to ask you, out of all the players you've cast in Challengers, we're going to look back on this in 2 years. Who is going to have the most successful career in 2 years?
Lucid. Easy. I thought you were about to ask a good question or
Yes,
something like
but no-
thought-provoking. Or
But this is the thing, like, I didn't ask you 1 year, because I think in 1 year, Lucid seems to be the guy that has the most promise, although DK's roster is filled with a lot of promising players.
All right, look,
like,
if we-
2 years, like, we need to have someone who's consistently going to, like, be able to get on a good team next year in a major region, and then, like, also
Okay, yeah.
potentially be making playoffs and stuff like that.
Okay, so that actually, I like the way you frame the question because it becomes more interesting this way. As KT have bot side prio, Wukong very late with this back timing, so they're going to get this rake. I'd say if we zoom in on these 10 players in particular, I'd actually go with like Hype and Hambach as like two of the players that I think have the biggest chance because KT has aiming, but you know he's getting a little bit older, right? Who knows how long he's going to be on that roster. Hype is looking very promising. Cuz very inconsistent on KT. Hambach definitely has a chance to get in there. And then I'd say kind of a wild card pick for the rest of the teams. I think Courage is really good. And I think that he certainly could be, with a lot of the jungle voids in the LCK right now, like I think he's a standout player in a role right now that is so important, and we have seen so many teams struggle because we have, actually, funny as this, in the LCK, so many old jungle players who were really good and who are now like still pretty good, but not like as good as they used to be. And I think there's a void in terms of where you can find value as one of these players. And it doesn't always have to be, just to keep this in mind, guys, if you are on a Challengers roster, it does not mean you have to be promoted to the team that you were on. You could be sold to another region, another team can buy you out. So, for example, Hambach could join Hanwha Life Esports. Like, that could happen, right?
Yeah.
It could happen as early as summer. It actually could happen as early as round 2. That's very unlikely. But so there are ways in which these players could be picked up in the LCK. And when you think about somebody like Lucid, I'm like, he's also a jungle player, right? That's why he stood out to me. But I think D+K is going to really be holding on to him pretty tight. I don't think he's getting picked up soon. So he might be actually a bad answer to your question because I think he's going to be in this roster and they're going to keep this Challengers roster together for a long time.
Yeah. I think you kind of found like the tricky part of the question, right? Because some of these players on DK, little flash forward, he's got Ignite, he's looking for the kill as Warlock Ornn nearly able to take out Thanatos. Nice look from Castle, and he's able to get the flash out, trades it with the Jace. That's a pretty nice look, especially trying to make use of his unsealed spellbook.
Looks like Lucid wanted to maybe come up and punish there, go for the ult wraparound, but there's a control ward in the brush. And Castle's pretty healthy, so he decides, he's not going to go for it. Yeah, that's a really interesting question, though. Like, you're really making me think, because remember Illuma was one of the most hyped players. We had Hayes as well. He made his way in. Bulldog made his way in. Bullbase still here, right? Illuma still here in Challengers because the team wanted to hold on to him really tight, and Illuma was playing behind Keen for a long time, so... Yeah, it's partially about like where can they slot in and how do these teams value them, and how these teams operate. Because Gen.G, for example, likes to sell their Challengers players early, right? And send them away.
Unless they're Pays.
Yeah, Pays is the one they held on to. Right? But Birdall, for example, Karis, they do kind of like to get some value out of their players and give them the opportunity on other teams.
Yeah. You know, I think Lucid has a really good opportunity if he gets bought next year or even as early as summer. Like, I think some teams might watch these challenger matches and say, okay, we got to get this guy. Like, he's just too good. Like, we are really struggling in the jungle role, whether it's in an LCK team or any team around the world, and they might just pick him up because he looks really good. I think Hype is another guy that has potential in that area just because he really pops off from time to time. Teams can see his high potential. I think the other angle also is like who we feel like has enough experience to like get on a team and actually perform, because there was a lot of hype around Birdall. There was a lot of hype around so many different Challengers players who come up and then kind of just flounder a bit because they can't quite match the level of stress or the level of competition that it takes to be good at that level. So it's going to be interesting. I think Feisty has performed really well as well this season in particular.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this a lot. We talked about it on Pog State too. Like, there's a generation of LCK players that are like 4 years plus, you know, and it's like, well, how much longer are we going to keep investing in these players who are aging and aren't growing and improving as much as they used to? And that's when players like Feisty come into play, right, where he's still much younger and still has a lot of potential and a lot of growth he can do. And with this roster of D+, if things go bad for D+, like, which it doesn't seem like they will, but like, let's just say, like, I don't know, they finish 6th place, they get knocked out in first round of playoffs, it's like, oh my god, it's a disaster season in summer, right? I'm talking about like in the future too, because it's not going to happen between seasons. You could be like, let's save money this year and promote our whole Challengers team and do what Nongshim did, right? You could actually just restart the whole thing and just be like, we're going to save money, and this roster is super competitive. Let's try to build them up over the course of a few years. So
yeah. They won their way into the LCK by winning Challengers in summer. Congrats to the Nongshim lineup. And they're getting better and better every day. I feel like they do have a chance to, you know, potentially get there. Probably not in this season exactly, but who knows? You know, summer or 2024. I'll be curious to see where those Nongshim guys do end up. As this game, there's really nothing happening.
It's actually been the perfect time to discuss this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
KT have taken a 2 lead, but Savaris comp have bottom side control quite easily. Maybe just D+ don't want to contest this right now. Pretty squishy comp, like I was talking about before, the Azir, the Ornn. Good ultimates on these early fights, so really tough to contest. As Herald's still up too, stopping an opportunity to fight for that one. A lot of people ask about players like Kana, right? Like, he's been fairly inconsistent. Like, what would it take to bring Thanatos in? And I think that the way people think about this is from kind of like a fan's perspective, but if you bring Thanatos in and he fails, you are, like, if he doesn't live up to your expectations, you are doomed, because you have both told your top laner that you don't trust him, and we're going to bring the Challengers player in. And yeah, you're a superstar player, Kana. You played for T1. You've had some really high highs in your career, but we're actually going to bring this guy in over you. You lose all confidence. Kana already has like some confidence issues. You could definitely see it. And then Thanatos comes in and he underperforms. He has stage fright, something like, you're doomed. Because Thanatos can't do it and Kana can't do it now, and you don't trust him. I think this is really, like, this type of thinking becomes really evident when you look back at 2021 T1, where they had that like 10-man rosters constantly revolving around and nobody was looking very good until they said, okay, this is who it is. We've chosen you, and the chosen roster actually was really good. Got to be careful about stuff like that, because I think a lot of people are like, well, I don't know, Kana's just not living up to what I want. I'm like, well, he definitely won't be if he gets subbed out as okay.
And immediately dead. Yeah, just not even given a chance to flash. Heal was used. Rahel was like, oh, maybe I can save him. Nope, not quite. Really nice knock up here from Castle as they are going deep into this one. The Ornn eating a bunch of the turret shots. He is just unkillable. Decides, well, I can't get out because Lucid's here now and the teleport is used by Thanatos. But finally some action. KT pulling a couple of triggers and now trying to really open up this game as the sun is going to land. Hambach really trying to get on top of Rahel here. Forces the flash. And a very nice proactive set of plays from the side of KT.
Really nicely done. And KT here grabbing a bunch of plates down here bottom side for this Varus. And it is going to be the lethality variation we talked about earlier. Like, probably don't want to do that with the Ornn in terms of what the Ornn is going to do for you in a team fight. But if you wanted to snowball games, it's definitely the right call. Double Comet here, getting that pick onto the Karma, turning that into a mid play, and this is Loopy just not showing a whole lot of respect here. Full damage coming from the ulted W there from the Heimerdinger. And then it's a turret crash here with the Rift Herald. And Pulbay is just so low. It's a really easy opportunity with these big ults here, like I'm talking about. The Ornn and the Azir. So clean, flashes the wall.
Imagine being in between those two things, like the Ornn horn, whatever, the godly ram that comes through, and then also the Azir soldier.
And you're in like one of the skinniest parts of the map between a turret and a wall. Like, what are you gonna do?
You got squished. You got squished there. It just disappeared. Just turned into dust. It's just a rough time. Pulbay, you know, the Rise eventually going to be in a good spot, but you can see the difference between this game and game number 1, where it's like, okay, well, the Syndra got a solo kill on me, but eventually I'm just a global powerhouse, and Syndra can't follow me, and I eventually scale out of control. But this time, it's like, okay, well, they don't have to play around the side lanes for KT, because they don't have an Aurelia this time. They have Ornn. They can just team fight, and Feisty is probably going to eventually scale at least as well as the Rise will, as well as Pulbe will. So now not only are KT getting ahead, they're also going to be able to use these leads much easier in this game. It's like not even the same.
Oh yeah, no, not even close, right? This is a very different type of game, and this turret is
challengers. So
it is challengers, but I mean these are our top challengers teams, right?
True.
There's some comeback potential here, obviously, because there's a lot of scaling on the side of D+, and they have, you know, like Wukong who can flank and set up really good ults. They have Jace explosive damage that can just wipe a Varus. As Lucid, careful, man.
Man, Rebel's having a ball of a time here on the Heimerdinger tonight. He's just, oh man.
He's killing clones and taking names.
He has been a menace. I mean, look at Lucid's health bar. Like, what happened to Wukong, like, helping out the lanes and, like, doing something after level 6? Lucid just gets burst down, and he has ult. Silly can't even use it. They lose their bot turret. Rough times.
You know, Pulbe is level 11 now. His ult's upgraded, but, like, this feels like a solo queue Rise game where it's like, oh, I got Perma Prio. I got a lot of push. I'm going to do a lot of damage later, but the team isn't able to utilize that roam work well to defend anything or set anything up on the map. So like green lane, bottom side, successful roam to mid from castle, sets up another kill bot, or excuse me, in the mid lane, below his lane. And now you just have like, basically the whole map is unlocked for KT, and this Rise hasn't done anything for you on Pulbe's side. He's going to be able to do a lot of damage later, but you haven't been able to get much out of this B1 pick that's supposed to help control the early game. This has felt very invisible, unfortunately, and a very late Rod as well.
Oh, no. Rahel does not have flash this time. He is so toast. And now it's Hambach, the one that's all over the map, supporting his side lanes. This is crazy. I mean, DK are getting demolished in this game.
Rebel is so smart, too. He's communicating, okay, I've seen Lucid up here on the top side. I'm setting up vision here. They're probably going to try to make a cross-map play. And luckily it's Orin too, so we're not that worried, but also we have the defensive setup. I know that Lucid is here and he probably won't be able to accomplish anything, so just collapse on the Rise bottom, kill Pulbe, take him out. And that's what they did.
Yeah, definitely, you know, keeping my expectations level here for the KT roster, not trying to, you know, go past 5 out of 10 in my mind, right? We're just...
Don't read the 80 carry's name.
Do not, absolutely do not. Do not look at it. Look away. I see you looking at it right now. Look away from his name. If you are a KT fan, that is. If not, you can stare at it. It's fine. You could even say it. You could also say another word that starts with E. That is banned on this broadcast.
Nope. I won't do it. I won't do it.
Don't do it. Well,
I'm not going to do it.
Not next to me, at least. But yeah, KT
Loopy, you are out there, man. He's okay.
Just barely. He will hold on to his flash, but...
All right, this is a moment, though. This is a moment where KT might drop the ball, because you're going to get second Rift Herald for Bounty Gold here for the Rise. I think this might not be the play. Lucid is shadowing a little bit here, too, making it tough to collapse. I think you got to kill this Rise.
At the end of the day, I mean, Feisty, I'm not sure if he really cares about this. He's going to go into a stopwatch. He has some support, and there is the sweep. And he just did so much for the team, as Pulbe is just barely going to live in this one. But at the end of the day, I mean, DK at least able to trade 1-for-1 and put some pressure on the bottom side.
They don't get the turret, so you feel pretty good about that, as Rebel not realizing.
Well, Loopy is going to be forced to flash. That's
okay, Thanatos is just going to force this turret down. He's like reading super hard, but he knows they were chasing, and he's trying to get that turret. It's so low, and it's got bounty gold on it.
And guess what? Now KT are in the lead, and Orin is level 12. He's going to hit level 13 very soon. Look at that XP bar. He'll upgrade his item. But then we're going to have upgraded Ludens, upgraded Divine Sunderer, upgraded whatever Varus is going to build. Yeah, so... it's going to be some insane value in some of that extra gold you get out of this Orin pick.
This was not the cleanest rotation here for KT. Feisty actually, if he doesn't have stopwatch here, he dies, and this fight actually goes very D+-sided, so at least he had that stopwatch available. Pulbe just barely escapes here, and they do stop the turret from going down. They stop it a second time, as well as Thanatos rotates down there. Doesn't actually get it either. It's still up here, so D+K trying to pull some of that gold out of the map, but just unsuccessful thus far. We'll be here on top side doing the same thing. So they're using their 1-3-1 power of this Jace and this comp very well so far here to try to stem the bleeding. Still 3,000 gold down. KT almost dropped the ball, like I said in that last fight. Just barely ends up working out. And now I think KT are in a position here in about 2 minutes time here after this next Drake fight to where they can start putting some real pressure on the map. In 1 minute's time, they still have the power spike here to contest Infernal and potentially take it, right? Like, it's not going to be an easy fight. Ezreal, I think, about to buy a second item here while he backs. I mean, they even have Herald here for the control. Like, I think KT should be able to force this, and they absolutely will try to, as they stop the charge, too. It's going to be a turret down bot, but maybe they grab this bottom, or this mid.
Yeah, they're just gonna get the charge at least. Like, this will not be denied. It's insane amount of damage to the structures here in the mid lane
Now,
right before this Infernal Drake. Soul Point is gonna spawn.
Look at the control wards they have set up here too. They're trying to set a trap here. I didn't like the idea of forcing that push to the mid as much because it's not going to lead to permanent damage. I mean, it is permanent damage, but it's not going to remove that turret. But when you have the Sun Disc turret and you have all that vision set up, it becomes very difficult for D+ here to come over. And now what they're doing is pushing these waves through and making sure it cannot be a trade of objectives. So they're going to push mid. And you know what? At first I was really worried that KT were going to overextend, maybe get Wukong flanked, and it was going to be a disaster. But they actually use the Sun Disc turret very well. Now they've got this choke point control. They have vision all around the Drake, so no one can come over there and 1v1 Humbug. Look at him. He's got hype on him now, too, but look at all the vision they have around. And D+ don't have enough control over the map to trade this, so they successfully stop Baron, take Infernal Soul here at, by the way, sub 22-minute Infernal Soul, so very fast in the game.
Yeah, I know I'm not a challengers expert like Chronicler is. He is the main one on our roster of talent that we have, of casters that we have. And I really struggle to say this, but it feels unlosable for KT from here. And I know maybe I can be proven wrong, especially because we're going to have a very early Elder, and it might just get flipped extremely early, and maybe DK find an angle, and then Infernal Soul doesn't matter, the Ornn doesn't matter, the scaling doesn't matter, the Azir that's ahead doesn't matter. But I don't know, Wolf. I'm pretty confident about this one. I think KT, they sense that they've been getting better and better every single week. Like, every single time we cast these guys, they just look so much better. And I feel like they are using this momentum mentally and within their play, like learning so much from their wins to just finally reach the pinnacle and say, okay, today is the day we overcome D+ Key and we are #1.
Their vision game is so good. They scry. There it is. There it is.
I saw all the clues in chat. I just had to throw that in.
I mean, they are really just basically setting vision Nirvana here. D+ Kia are blindfolded now.
I like that.
They have this top turret being pushed down, so like they're setting this up while threatening a Baron take, while also making sure there's no flank angles. One angle, as soon as they're like, okay, we don't know about this, back up, block Thanatos out. There's no side lane on the bottom here for D+ to actually threaten that bottom turret, so they have all of their bases covered. The only thing left to do is to start the Baron itself, right? And now because they have these Heimerdinger turrets to set up to stop these pushes through,
they can't get close, but they do have the Ezreal ultimate to check, and so they know this is happening.
They know they have time to rotate in, but not a lot of time.
Yeah, the damage is just too far. The accelerated shock blast hits the back line of Feisty, but that is a free Baron for KT. There is no objective elsewhere on the map. They can try to push mid tier 1 and probably DK get that, but that is nothing compared to the massive lead that KT have right now. They won't even get this tier 1. Simple teleport denial.
Canyon is retired. Check Twitter.
Yeah.
Bill Nye died.
Rip
Flying cars. All right, so this is.
I mean, what are they going to do? Gank the Ornn?
The vision toggle there was actually really scary. There's the observer showing that KT used all of their vision on the top side of the map, and so there was an opening there for a party bush, but KT is too smart, not going to walk into that. The only champion, as you mentioned, who got even anywhere close was Castle on the Ornn, and not going to be too concerned. And I mean, look, this is just KT now saying we're going to control the map until Elder, and if you make even a single mistake, we will take out an inhibitor.
Yeah, but Wolf, I feel like the issue is that DK, they're not making mistakes, but they're also not doing anything.
Oh, no, I mean, yeah, no, I'm
They've
saying
been-
KT is
yeah,
not
yeah,
making I mean, they're not making mistakes yet, but KT are trying to force, and yeah. You can't
I'm not
flank.
saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, DK got to do something, right?
Wukong trying to maybe set up a flank here in mid. Like, this is the only option you have.
Okay, nice little angle here. Feisty. Oh, he's going to get away. Put on his dancing shoes.
That's all you can do, but this is actually a mistake. Like, it's the only thing you can do proactively, but it's going to cost you an inhibitor. Sorry, too bad. You lost your inhibitor.
Yeah. And
Ouch!
yeah, this is the upgraded Duskblade. I don't know the name of this one. Maybe you guys can put it in chat for us.
They almost can end here. Like, if they hit another Horus arrow like that, they can end. They could just get a second inhibitor instead. Look at Hambak. He's like, oh, wait, we already got the turret. He's like, wait, the turret's already dead. Like, let's get this inhib.
Even Rebel is so insanely strong. They all have Infernal Soul. It's amazing for every single player, every single champion on the side of KT.
The streak is over, Valdez.
Duskblade Premium is online. Paying an extra $5.99 per month for that
Duskblade
one.
Prime.
Yeah. Oh, God. KT, oh, man. They just took every objective, and DK were like, well, we can't compete with this. They never bothered to. And KT will be taking down this series 2-1. That is going to be the end. Just get swept up into the fountain once again.
This was the one
That is the
draft.
end.
This is the one draft for KT I doubted. I was like, will they be able to get ahead enough? You know, will this Ornn matter? Okay. They let him die.
No!
That's okay. That's okay.
It's KDA. Oh, it's okay. KT, a massive victory tonight. They take down #1 in all of Challenger League. Actually, a really hype moment, as maybe now KT are our best team in Challengers. They have proven that, at least for today.
The drafts we saw in all 3 games were good for KT, but this is the one I was most worried about, right? This was the one draft where I was like, this could go very badly. You know, will the Varus actually hold up? But you got Infernal Soul, which really helped the longevity of this comp. But you used your Azir Ornn power in the mid game to just end the game in mid game. You won every team fight. Look at how little Ryze does this game. Look at how little Ezreal does. We go 5, 6, 7 minutes more into this game, and you could turn that one around. The flank attempt there from Lucid was good. In terms of, if we just sit back, we lose. If we make this work, maybe we can get something. But that actually is the moment the game is unlocked, right? Like, that's the moment where he tries to actually flank an Azir under an Azir turret, and then he just gives the keys to the Nexus to KT Rolster, and they don't even have to fight for Elder. They just walk it down and win the game. What a great series here. And KT Rolster, their Challengers team, historically, by the way, very mid. They're now on top. This is actually crazy.
Yeah, it's a big moment for them. It's crazy. I mean, you look at even LCK, like KT are finding some success, right? We have KT and Challengers finding big success. They started at the middle, now they're here. Like you said, Wolf, they have climbed up bit by bit, and now they are #1. Although we did get some chatter saying that I suppose with this win maybe they didn't quite secure
I don't know
first
the
place.
yeah, I don't know the
Because they are 1 game behind, and now they're on a same set score. So maybe they're still in second
Well, I mean,
place, but
it's not
proverbial first place
Yeah.
because they took down first place, right? That's
So
essentially what I'm saying.
it's not important because we're not even done with the first round robin yet. So to talk about the semantics of this is it's whatever. But
Yeah, but it's good information. Thanks
yeah,
for
no, it is
calling
good
that out.
information. But I think that D plus Kia in games 1 and 2, their drafts were pretty risky. They were pretty disrespectful, I think, in some ways.
Chronicler, don't get baited by Frankie. He's a fantastic troll.
No.
He's a good guy. Saying
But,
the most random stuff. Anyway, continue, Will.
Yeah, I think that D plus here in this final game, they were like, we just run it back. It worked last time. This time they don't even have an Aurelia pick. Like, it's going to be okay. And it wasn't because they didn't fight early enough. They were too timid. The Viego, fantastic early kills. I gave the POG vote. I was going to keep it a secret. I gave it the hype.
This guy for sure.
Because Look, I think there were a lot of choices here, but for me, I was like, consistency was everything. And the guy is so good right now. It's just a tragedy he plays behind aiming. But like I said, if there's a hole in another team, this guy might be coming up, and he might be coming up soon.
Yeah. Giga Chad Tank, choose to do damage when he wants. Yeah, I mean, the Ornn was really key. I think that there was like the one moment at the first Rift Herald where they were pushing mid, KT was, and Pulbay tried to stop it or tried to trade onto the Azir. And instead, we just had their top laner, for some reason, okay, Castle, for some reason, going away from my mind there for a second, just come down and roam on the Ornn and get the kill on him, and then the Rift Herald pushed in as well, and then they were able to take tier 1 so early. After that, DK were like, well, how are we supposed to fight now? And they just got so outscaled, it was insane, and they lost every objective because they lost total map control.
The snowball was well and truly rolling downhill. Good game here from KT Rolster. I think that this team needs to get some credit. Like, I think people just kind of slowly being like, wait a minute, KT is better than T1 and Challengers. Like, that's weird. Is that true? Like,
Yeah.
we'll wait and see. And then you and I were like, well, I think it'll be a 2-0. That's the prediction, but I think KT will put up a good fight. And then reality sinks in, reverse sweep comes through.
Yeah, started with game 2. Was pretty interesting the way that one played out. It was relatively close. I think that DK went for some kind of risky picks. You know, the Lee Sin coming out, the Swain, especially one we talked about a lot. And after that, they just kind of, I don't know, they fell off a cliff. Like you said, right? They went back for what worked in game 1 in terms of composition, and KT just had the better draft in terms of like, oh, we see what you're doing. We're going to just make a couple of tweaks, and we're going to be able to eventually defeat you. And the execution was there. So really good drafting in game 1 and game 2 from KT. Game 3, we weren't 100% sure, but it ended up
The
being
execution
very good.
made up for it, you know?
Yeah, for what they were going for. Definitely could have gotten punished, you know, in a different world, but not quite able to do it.
Yundo asking Chronicler who he would have voted for. He didn't say, but does that mean that Yundo doesn't like our vote? Is that what's going on? Is Yundo trying
Maybe
is
we
Yundo
are the media.
subtweeting right now?
Are we the media of Challenger League?
I literally had this
Keck
thought. I'm like,
WVN cast?
if you think about the ratio of media, it's still smaller than ours. Like 3 out of 11. We are 2 out of 5. So like, our power is actually much greater than media's. We have to wield
We
it
hold a
responsibly.
larger portion.
But we don't actually have the majority. So like, if the Korean commentators are all unanimous on a specific player, even if we disagree and we both vote, we will get outvoted. So
and it's happened before.
It has happened before.
And we were like, you know what? Like, that makes sense. That's fine. It's
Yeah.
also possible that, like, 2 of them vote for one, and then you and I vote for another, and then we have, like, a little tiebreaker situation.
Wolf does kick W. Actually not in this case. But yeah, that has happened. And you and I have also disagreed a few times. We usually agree, but not always. I thought this was going to be one of those times. I thought you were going to vote for Castle, to be honest. I kind of had a vibe that you were...
You know, I almost voted for Feisty, because his control of mid and his ability to just kind of deny Pulbay from playing the game this time around was pretty key, like, in comparison from games 1 and game 3 as well. Like, it seemed pretty... Like, it was a team play. Like, I don't think that Hype was the only person to pop off in this one. Like, Castle was really good in terms of where he was on the map, and like he played a tank really well, even though he wasn't doing the boom damage. Feisty got caught a couple of times, but it almost like ended up almost like baiting them into rough fights and like baiting them out of position on the map, and then he was able to do insane damage anyway. So like I was so close. I was like waiting. Even somebody came in and was like, Valdez, you forgot to vote. I'm like, no, I'm just thinking.
I think they were mostly concerned because my cup was on the table.
Oh.
But it might have been also that.
You see, I'm the main character here, so you know that subreddit r/I'm the main character.
Well, that's how I felt, like, because the producer wrote like Wolf Cup, and I was like, wow, he knows my history of how I became a StarCraft commentator. And then I was like, oh, he means like I need to move this cup because it's going to be on camera. That was my main character moment. I'm like, wow, Open Wolf Cup back in the day.
Wow, the producer watched my.
Yeah, rip.
What is this channel for? This is where Wolf and I, we just sit here and talk.
We
not about anything specifically, but sometimes League of Legends Challengers also happens, unfortunately.
We give a lot of our opinions about certain issues and topics, and then occasionally League of Legends pops up on the screen, and we give our thoughts on that too, because we're like, well, we're here together. There's a visual tool.
It's more of like a dating advice / hair rating kind of podcast situation going on with us.
We do set the category to League of Legends on Twitch just to make sure we, just to make sure we're still gaming.
It is, yes, we are gamers.
But it's really just a just chatting stream with a bunch of other stuff going on.
Oh, you can see your chat. Yes, this is the Challenger's way.
Yep, we check it out.
I like the suits today. Yes, these are the same suits we wear every day.
Is it the same person who said that always says that? Wait, hold on, who said that?
I don't recognize the name. But he has chatted before.
Oh, no, it's not the one who always says it, but thanks for saying that.
Our playoff format's the same as LCK.
Yes.
Yes. When's the next game? Should be about a half hour from now. We're just waiting for the interview to end, and generally would have started at like 5, or was it 4:30?
I think actually normally it's supposed to be... Hold on.
No, it's 4:30, right?
Yeah, normally it's supposed to be 4:30, so we will be 30 minutes after. It's
supposed to be 5, but then the new schedule puts us 30 minutes ahead. But because we went to 3 games, we can't. We're already 10 minutes past the 4:30, which is like the starting time for if it's a 2-0. So we're gonna have 30 minutes from now.
Well, not now, but like 30 minutes from like maybe in 2 or 3 minutes when this interview is complete, and we go back to our little hidey hole, which is like right over there. And
all right. Speaking of hiding holes, guys, we need to go back to our hiding hole. This series is over. Hopefully you did enjoy the KT victory today, but we will see you in about a half hour for the next match. Don't go anywhere.
포탑이 파괴되었습니다. 파괴되었습니다. 빨간 팀의 포탑이 파괴되었습니다. 파란 팀의 포탑이